Hey again. Thanks for tuning in to the 33rd stream of my in-browser OS project. Um, this is week 33. It's Saturday, 9 p.m. PST, or PT, I guess we're on right now. Not PST at the moment. Um, yeah, thanks for tuning in. Feel free to throw some comments in there. If you like my previous videos or you like what I'm doing here, please throw this video a like. If you want to keep up to date on other videos I post or just what's going on in my weekly schedule and see it in your stream, then please subscribe because it keeps me motivated and it's much appreciated. I got my usual powered by Red Bull today. By this one's watermelon flavor. It's pretty good flavor. I think that's the gist of it, really. I guess if you're the first time seeing this, you don't know what my OS in the browser project is. Here's a little look of it right now. We're going to do quite a few little improvements today. Some of them on the system itself, some of them on the apps. You can see here we got the typical stuff, File Explorer. We now have drag and drop. Yeah, we got drag and drop as well. But there are some limitations that we're going to work on today for drag and drop. One of them I can show you right now. Let's say I open the desktop here. This folder and this one here are the same. And if I drag it here, you see it updates there, but not here. So I'd like it to be able to update all locations that have open folders, basically. That's one thing we'll do. We got our start menu here. We got our clock. Another cool feature that I want to add today. So let's say here for the DOS emulator, if you are to make a game, start a game here. Oh, what happened there? Okay, start the game. And then, that was weird what happened there. What was that all about? I wonder. That's weird. It seemed like it loaded the second level for a second before we saw the first level. That's wonky. Alright, let's press escape, and then let's say you press save game, and we save it in a slot there. Cool, game saved, right? So you close it. I mean, where's the game save? In the middle? Who knows? Nowhere, right? We refresh here. Doesn't look like it's there. I think there's another bug here too, where clicking items is not working. I fixed that, by the way, so we'll get to that today. But let's say, so we open Doom again here. All right, cool. We go to load game. It's not there. So that's one thing I'd like to add today is the ability for all DOS on close of the app will auto make a save, and you'll be able to see it here in the folders. In the saves folder, there'll be a zip file, and you can actually go into the zip file and see what the save is. And we're going to do the same for V86 too, the x86 emulator. So we're also going to have it. Let's say you load up a Windows 95 image on my OS. You go into Windows 95, you do some stuff, you close V86. When you open it again, it'll automatically go right back to the point you were at, which it doesn't do right now. We can ignore that console error. That's weird here, the sizing. That's a little wonky too. That's not a normal behavior. I'm going to ignore that because that's not normal. And also, one of the things we're going to be doing this episode is upgrading the libraries for V86 and JS-DOS. JS-DOS has kind of finalized version 7, so we're going to jump into that one. I've got right-click menus. I've got the ability to get this out of here. Highlight over the items now with a little highlighter. Oh, I notice here when I go into another window, that goes away. I wonder if that's not really the behavior I'd like. Let's add our first little note of the day for next stream, because I don't want to deal with that right now. Selection over File Explorer disables or stops selection. In Windows, that'll just kind of keep going on the background of where you've selected. What other things do we got here? We got right-click menus down here. We got peek, where if you hover over an item, you get this peek effect here. And we're going to do some more improvements to that in the future. But that's for another episode. Yeah, clicking context menus is not working at the moment. Winamp, of course, we got too. All right, let's dive into it. We've discussed what we got enough. I'm a little zoomed in right now, so if some of the proportions don't look right, that's just because I'm zoomed in. I can go to 100%, but it gets a little smaller for the viewer, so I'll try 100%, and if you guys feel it's a bit too small, we'll increase it. Another thing I'm going to do this episode, what I've been doing is I go application and I go clear site data on the storage tab to kind of reset all my folders and stuff and clear the IndexedDB database. I'm gonna have it when I click the power button that automatically happens. I figured out how to do that. So I've been working on this branch throughout the week, episode 33 branch, and I'm gonna try something a little different today. Before, what I've been doing is I've been opening these, looking at the diffs, and then kind of applying them manually a little bit, or sometimes opening a file, copying it, and then pasting it, and then we look at the VS Code diff. What I'm going to try is I'm going to take these commits and turn them into patches, and I'm just going to apply them one by one, and then we'll look at the differences, and I'll tweak it more, because I kind of like working in the diff editor anyways to see the before and after of how the code's going to change. So we're going to use these commits as starting points to commit these improvements, and sometimes we'll just go with what the code is, sometimes we'll change it. One thing I'm not sure on for this episode, how we'll do it, we're going to apply all these changes, but as far as I built this file system watcher concept for like that example I showed with the 2 desktops and only one of them updated. I've got a solution for that, but I've done it a little weird. It's done over like 3 or 4 commits, so I'm not sure if we'll jump ahead. I feel like if I jump ahead to my last commit, we might miss something from some of the intermediary steps. So we might go along, because at one point I have it in the session context, and then I realize, why is this not in the file system context? And then I move it to the file system context. But I'll guide you guys along my thinking process as we go, and if we decide to just jump ahead, then I'll try to merge some commits together. But anyways, let's give it a shot. So what's the first problem I had? Don't reset menu when it's clicked. Yeah, that's the first little bug that's happening. So let's say I right click here and I press open. Didn't work. Click rename, doesn't work. Delete, doesn't work. Nothing's working. Basically clicking context just isn't working. Let's see how I fixed it. So for this one, we don't need to make a patch file. This is just one file. This one I will just continue with my copy-paste maneuver. Although at the same time, I guess it's a good example of the patch file thing. Let's try it. So as far as how I'm going to do the patches, if you just have a GitHub commit and you just add .patch to the end, you get the patch. And then you just save this. Let's say I save it to my desktop. I'll go back to the commit here. I'll go into the code and let's open up a terminal. So I have it on my desktop here. I'm going to do git apply, and I'll point to my desktop, which is like users, Dustin, desktop, and then it's, what's it called? There we go. So Windows nicely decided to add .txt. I don't care. Doesn't matter. We'll just run this, git apply. So I press enter. You see we didn't get any obvious errors. So if I go check the diff now, we should have got that change applied. Nice. That's a nice way to just kind of jump into the change and like take a look at it. So what did I end up doing here? We had this function menu unfocused. Right. I think the concept of the reasoning why it's doing this is now when I right click on, let's say, an icon, I keep the focus on the icon as well, I think. Yeah. I don't steal away the focus, and then I apply the blur to the blur of the icon to also blur the context menu, which works good, and there's some reasoning behind why I did that. But the issue was, let's see what happened here. Looks like I just added a condition to check for the related target. Oh, right. So when I click the item, it's like I've unfocused for something. And it turns out what I've unfocused for is one of the item file entry items. So I say, is there a related target that's an HTML element? And is it not within the menu? So the menu ref.current is a use ref from React, referring to, what's it referring to here? This one here, this styled menu. What's OL complaining about? That's wrong. I don't know what that's blabbering about. We might have to restart VS Code because sometimes it gets a little stubborn when I switch branches. Oh man, I'm on the wrong branch anyways. Oh no, I'm on the right branch. Redo. That's the good right branch, yeah. But let's close VS Code and reopen it quick, because you see here it's complaining about this OL. Sometimes VS Code is just wrong. Someone suggested something the other day for ESLint, by the way, where you open up the command thing, you press type arrow, and then let's say type ESLint. Let's say so there's this restart ESLint server. That I think we might try in the near future. But this one's a TypeScript one, and I'm not really sure how to restart the TypeScript server. So let's just see. If I close VS Code, I'm going to open it again. I'm going to have to re-find it here on OBS. Pick code again. There we go. So it's back. So let's see here when it boots up. Some of these start menu things, or these little status bar entries, have to boot up. But at the moment, I'm not seeing an error. We'll let it load up here. Where was the menu ref? Long story short, the menu ref is on the main styled menu, and the focus was going onto these menu item entries. So because it was losing focus, it was automatically resetting and it was never getting to the part where it would actually click it. This just says, hey, if the thing that got clicked that's still focus is inside, don't reset. So only reset for things that are not within the menu, basically. And if we see the OL now, it's not complaining anymore. I hover over it, it knows exactly what's up. So that was, again, just TypeScript. Needed some restart in VS Code, and I'm not really sure for the palette command on that one, but c'est la vie. Closing it and opening it worked. It probably killed my run dev that I had going now. Let me boot that back up. And now let's go take a peek at the code and see if we fixed this thing or made it worse. So the test should just be right-clicking and having any of the options work. Speaking of tests, I should get to those someday. One of these days. All right, let's try. Right-click, open. There we go, now it works. Right-click, rename. Yep, that works. Right-click, delete. Yep, that works. Okay, cool. Let's get back our deleted WinApp icon and commit this first change. So I'm pretty happy with that change. As far as the way I've written it, this is just my style of writing these instances or these conditionals that I've been doing. I do like the HTML DOM element contains the related element, and I first check to make sure it's a type of it is an HTML element, which is what contains expects, I think. Although you might be able to pass it null here, it seems to think. I like checking it anyways. So, or wait, does that make sense though? If this wasn't, so if that's not that, that's false. It wouldn't reset the menu. I think this should be like an or condition then. But I guess there's always going to be a related target that you're blurring on, I would think. But another way I could do this, I guess. I think I've written it the other way before. Let's see if we can find another one like this. I think I wrote like the negative version. Yeah, here it is. In fact, I've always written negative except this example. So yeah, that's actually the more efficient way. Or I don't know if efficient's the right word for it. But that's probably how I should have wrote it. So if that's not true, reset right away. And then, so it has to check both of them before a reset will occur. No, one or the other. Yeah, one or the other. Before it would had to be both. But one or the other is true. If related target is null, then it's not going to have been blurred from an element within the menu, and that means it's okay to reset it. Well, let's see. Let's just test it and make sure I didn't break it any further. So this is an example of me improving the what was originally coded. That's what I like to do with these sessions, these video streams I do, is kind of keep everybody up to date on exactly what's going into the code. So every video, every single commit to redo branch has been streamed, and that's my hope, is to keep it that way. Excuse me. Don't reset menu when it's clicked. Yeah, let's commit that and add that to our show notes as the first item. And nice. That went nice enough, simple enough. I might not explain every one of them quite as detailed, but let's see. Fix rename not clickable. What are we talking about here? I got some other thing going on. On key up. Oh, so I added an on click halt event. Why was so clicking the rename box was somehow causing an issue? Let's try that. So rename. So I can type into it, but what happens if I click? Oh, clicking is making it go away. Yeah, that shouldn't happen because let's say I want to focus on a specific letter and delete from a certain letter. Okay. So yeah, I want click to not bubble the events and not try to go to the stealing of focus part. Because when it does that, it triggers the rename and then you lose the text box. Okay, so this part's straightforward enough. I've made this halt event. But let's do the same thing again. Apply the patch. Save this. I wish it would stop suggesting text file first. Kind of silly. Let's go into the code and apply that one. Easily enough. We got to do the same directory structure because of the way I decided to save it. And what's this patch called? I like how the Windows just, like, I'm trying to get it so when something changes, it refreshes the desktop on my fake OS, but it literally doesn't even work on Windows. Like right now, I don't see it on my desktop. I'll click refresh. Oh, now there it's there. But you knew it was there, Windows. So now I see it 6F, whatever. Okay. Let's apply it. What do we got? What do we got? The rename box. Yeah, I've added that halt event, which I made, which was basically just this, which was prevent default. I think it might be a bit more advanced than prevent default. I think I had halt event already, but it does two things. Yeah, it stops propagation too. Typically when I'm doing prevent default, I want to stop propagation as well. Looks like that didn't change. The typing of it changed a bit. Before I was accepting a generic event or a drag event, and now I'm saying a drag, a keyboard, a mouse, a focus. Okay. And here drag, and here instead of a generic event, I'm saying drag or mouse. Let's check my next commit. I feel like this ended up being a little flawed. Update event types, was that it? Yeah. Looks like I needed event in the end, or else it was complaining. And I also added change event. Yeah, that's not related to this one, is it? No, that's some styling thing. So I think for some reason or another I need this. Let's just try to see why I need that. I think if I try to do a build, or if I do test, I think it was failing, perhaps. Although why would it fail about types? Maybe it was in building then. Something was failing, I think, but how did I figure that out is a good question. Let's see if I've already broke the test. It's very possible. Okay, the test still worked. Oh, there's another thing we'll fix today. You see here how it took like 9 seconds to do that test? Next.js 11.1, I think, came out and made it so that I no longer need the jest dynamic library and basically just cut off this entire time. It's like less than a second now. So we'll get to that one pretty soon, and that's a nice little improvement. But first things first, I think it was on build. While we're doing the build, let's just update this, but I won't press save so we can see. I've added event and change event. Basically, I had event before, yeah, so here was the error. Right, so generic event was still being passed. I think my decision that I made here was just to have more events. I want to be able to use this halt event for pretty much all of these type of events. A drag, a change, a keyboard, a mouse, a focus. I don't know if touch is a possibility here. Maybe I can alphabetize these while I'm at it. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P. What was the other one? Touch I wanted to try. Let's see if there's one for that. Oh, wow. This is GitHub Copilot. Do you think it was listening? Who knows? Let's see if there's any more that GitHub Copilot suggests. Wheel event. It's an interesting one. Yeah, perhaps I would want to halt a wheel event. That's getting too ahead though. I'm not going to worry about that one, but let's just see what other ones there are. Now I'm interested. Wheel event. That was all it had for suggestions. Wheel event. It'll probably suggest wheel event again. Yeah. Do I even want touch event? I guess I shouldn't. I mean, I put change event in here, even though I don't need it. We'll add touch event, but this is as far as we're going right now. You know, for now. What was the other piece of that change? Let's double check. I also added event here at the input file level. So yeah, I think you can get it from a generic event, a drag, or a mouse event. I don't know if there'd be a touch event for that. That could be another one where there could be. Let's say no, though, for now. Maybe in the future, if like on your phone, you could click a file in one place and then drag it onto the browser, that would be considered a touch event that would have a thing associated with it. But that wouldn't matter really, I think, from the point of view of TypeScript, so it's kind of irrelevant. Let's add it though, honestly. Wait, can a touch... Let's just answer that. Totally pointless, but I'm interested now. Can a touch event have a touch event? Yeah. Here we go, touch events. File? Can I have a file associated with it? File target. Touch target. Okay, and can it be a file? It's not clear to me. I don't want to dive any further into that. Let's get rid of touch event and not add any more random crap. I don't know why I added change event, honestly, either. Let's get rid of change event. What other ones did I add that I'm not happy with now? What did I have before? Drag? Okay, and what have I decided halt needs to be part of here? Click. So that's like a mouse event, I think. What is click supposed to be? A mouse event. And key is the keyboard event. Okay, so I need keyboard and mouse. I had drag. Where did focus come in? And touch. Let's get rid of focus and touch and see if we don't need those. And let's just not overburden our typing system here. And this, I think, is still okay. I think there was some reason why that was relevant. Let's just see where I'm using this. This event is a drag event. And this event is just a generic event. So why did I add mouse even? Doesn't seem like I needed it. Here I need it because I'm doing halt event. Let's run a build again and make sure I didn't mess that up. But yeah, I think before I was just changing things excessively. Speaking of excessive changes. So now it's just basically adding the keyboard and mouse types and then calling it here in the keyboard and mouse place, which is probably a little more targeted of a change. Let's see what it was called again. Right, that was fix rename not being clickable because the onClick didn't have a halt. And rather than just make another one of these, I've decided to use the existing one that also does stopping propagation, which is probably for the best. And then I've also not removed this and not added that because it seemed unnecessary now. Don't want to do any unnecessary changes. Sometimes in the branches throughout the week, I'm kind of experimenting. So the test passed, so I'm just going to leave it at these more restrictive types and just say fix rename not clickable. And I won't expand on the types until I need to. It's a premature expansion. 2 commits down, a bunch to go. 39, I guess, to go. Standard icon size. That sounds like a one-liner. Oh, it's not. What happened here? Oh, okay, right. This is almost a one-liner. Let's just do this as a one-liner. So basically, if we look at the code, icon size is kind of what I use as the naming for all the sizes except one. This one here. Let's just standardize that one. And then where did I break that? Taskbar.entry.icon. Here it was. Right, and we'll just call those size like we did to all the others. So that's just a little consistency naming thing. Now all of the icon sizes are icon size and not icon.size. Pretty important. Pretty big deal. So I'm obviously being facetious. Is that the word for it? Let's look it up. That's something I like to do when I make up using big words. Facetious. Oh wow, I never would have spelled it like that. Treating serious issues with deliberately inappropriate humor. I don't know if it was inappropriate. Update event types. I already did this one. Not going to do that again. Doesn't need to be optional. What was this? Oh, that's pretty minor. It's true, though. I don't like these optionals when it's not necessary. How many more of these are there, though? I don't want to dig through a million of them. Oh, only 139. That one's necessary. You know, I think there's a linting rule for these, so I wonder, how did I even find that one? Do I happen to have a linting rule and I caught that one? It's only one. Let's just find it. Functions, file manager, it's right here. So the logic behind it is here. Right, so I already know target result exists, so I don't need to once again say that. Okay. Until we have a better linting rule, that's the only one I know about that I missed. But I prefer to have them all. There's probably a linting rule to be more explicit. I might do that one day and just go through the ESLint rules and like almost structure my rules to the code as I hope it is, and then let it find where I've missed it, you know, like don't do unnecessary optionals. I think I found that linting rule once. Where? I'll have to find it again. Don't need to be optional. Yeah, it doesn't need to be. Does not. I like to use contractions. Unlike Data from Star Trek, who was unable to for no sensible reason, honestly. Doesn't need to be optional. Just went through that one. What's next? Don't lose focus for things inside button. Okay, not losing focus sounds like good advice. So I had is focused, is not the active element's not the button itself, and the active element is not within the button. Ah, okay. So that's basically the distinction I've added. What was the problem here? Don't lose focus for things inside button. How can I test that? So I fixed the rename. That's fixed. What are we talking about losing focus, though? Darned if I have no idea what they're talking about. I also don't know what happened with V86 starting up a bit weird there. Oh, maybe my dev environment's not running? What happened? Did I kill it? Oh, something killed it. Probably me. That's weird. There's not many big changes, so maybe one of the builds made it angry. Seems to be loading now. I'm still trying to figure out how to test this don't lose focus thing. Don't lose focus for things inside button. What the heck does that mean? Seems like a decent change anyways. I think it's consistent with, oh, what happened? Whoa. Maximum update depth. Could it be related to this bug? Well, I wasn't getting that issue later in the week. Without being able to remember how to test this, let's try something else where I check this exact same code in other places and see if I did it that way. Here's one. Oh, that is the example. Darn it. What about this other? This whole does not contain active element thing. Haven't I looked for that before? Okay, once before. Here. In component window. How reliably can I recreate that bug? So if I select all of these, then it starts happening? Okay. I don't see how my fix could in any way be related to that. What line did I fix? Focusable. No, was that it? It was here on the file entry. On a use effect. Is focus getting triggered? Let's double check that. With the highest of quality thing. I mean, it's supposed to be sometimes, isn't it? Huh. What was that other bug? That was a weird bug. Oh, wow. You see that? Oh, okay. Yeah, that's related. What's the story there? Is that about selecting two things? Okay. So if I select two things, it goes nuts. But on the desktop, it didn't do that. Hey, let's see if that fix works. That'd be neat. I didn't even realize this is the bug I fixed. So that's just how lucky I am. Let's try it again. Okay, it's not fixed. Yeah, I don't really think I did fix that, honestly. I don't remember that being fixed. Well, what was this change for? Jeez. Past Dustin, what have you done? Okay, I like this change, honestly. I'm gonna bookmark this, and if I have to revert this later out of not having a way to understand what I've done. Ugh, I don't like that idea. Let's leave this commit, let's leave this tab open and forget about it for now until I can completely understand why it's necessary. I feel like later on we're gonna run into whatever this fixed, and then I'll be like, oh, okay, of course this was it. But this commit message is not helpful enough, unfortunately. So let's just move on. Actually, before we move on, let's make a note of whatever that bug is, because I don't even know about that one. Selecting two items in File Explorer makes console log mad. Cool. Back to whatever the next thing is. Focus on correct file during rename. Oh yeah, what's happening here? Oh my, I've changed a lot here. It looks like I think I moved the renaming state up from the file level to the file manager level. Yeah, here's the what is this? Huh. Okay, so now when you do new path, it automatically auto aligns rename. Is that true? Oh, maybe that's this true that I passed. I think I changed this like 17 times, unfortunately. Let's try to get some sense out of what I did do here, though. I've made new path to have the ability to do a rename, where if I say new path, I want you to start with a rename, then it does this. So it'll rename, otherwise focus. Okay, let's see what happens when I make a new file. New folder. That's okay. New folder. Oh yeah, that didn't work. New text document. The first one works, but the second one doesn't. I think it's because it's got the wrong name, possibly. Which I think might have been what I fixed here. Yeah. It has to rename. It has to. Right. So I was saying set renaming on new folder's name, which would be like new folder. But if when making the new path, new folder existed, then it goes new folder bracket 1. So to know about that unique name, it has to happen here at the rename level. At least for now, until I figure out if I changed it. And then this was just code supporting that. So yeah, I moved it out of, wait, what? I just move it up a bit? Okay, I just moved it up so that I could pass the set renaming function into the use folder command. Right. Wait, what? Ah, okay, here. So a little confusing the way I did it. Sorry. Yeah, some of these commits, it's like, did it make sense the way I did this? So I made use folder different, but where did I use folder? That's where I'm getting confused. Oh, okay, duh, that's right here. Right, so yeah, I just passed in the dispatch to set renaming at the use folder level when a new path is created. Why didn't I just write that in the commit, right? Okay, another patch file here. It is so hot in here, by the way, in case anyone's wondering. It's like 1,000,000 degrees Celsius, I think. Git apply users / Dustin / desktop / 59 something something. There we go. Oh, did I already have a change? Oh yeah, I had this failure of a change. I'm undoing that one. That was that one we haven't figured out yet. But here was the change I just discussed. So yeah, I moved renaming up a little bit so I could pass the dispatch event. And I don't need to pass it to the folder context now. Now we just do new path, and then we know that the unique name. So if we try that now, refresh, make another new folder. There we go. Folder 2, folder 3, yeah, new 2. Okay. Well, I'm happy with that for now until I think of a better way to do it. So let's commit that as don't lose. No. That's the wrong one. Darn it. Focus on correct file during new file. Yeah, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take that other commit and put it in here for next stream is to solve. And we might solve it this stream possibly. But I want to close that tab because it just keeps getting in my way from a flow point of view. Okay, so we did focus on correct file during new / rename. Was it a problem on rename? I don't think it was a problem. Let's say new arrow rename, right? When you make a new one and you want to rename it, you need to have the name that it picked and not the name that you wanted to pick, basically. Okay, another one done. That was this one. Fix context focus again. Again? Oh. That's funny. I think I did this. I think I ended up doing it this way and talking everyone through it. Let's double check. Yeah, I don't think there is this style anymore because I think I'll just check right now. Yeah, it's not there. So then I did this. I did that commit. That was this one. Wasn't it? Focus on correct file. Yeah. Start menu shadow. Oh, right. I forgot. So the start menu itself has a little bit of a shadow, I guess. We can't see it now, but there should be a little shadow here. And I'm going to add it. It's simple enough. I will jump into the code, into the styled start menu, and add it thusly within the area here. And it looks like I've decided to increase the darkness, the lightness by 1%. That was just eyeballing it, as they say. Let's check it out. There we go. Now we have a little bit of a shadow. Looks kind of nice. Is it too much shadow? I don't think so. I think it pretty much matches the Windows one. As far as how I tested the Windows one, basically just make your Windows desktop a white wallpaper. Open the start menu, take a photo of it, and then go into MS Paint and take the paint bucket and just paint in red on the white spot, and it'll put everything red, but where the shadow is, obviously that's not going to be perfectly white, so the paint bucket won't overwrite it. And then you can kind of see how the layers of the shadow a little easier. And then it's a little easier to figure out how to replicate it. That was just an idea I had. I'm not sure how good of an idea it is. But there's a suggestion for everyone else doing the same thing. I'm sure there's thousands out there. Sarcasm, I guess, that one is. Start menu shadow. Yeah, let's not make any more description than that. After all, I'm doing a whole video about it. Next, update file system indexes. This is pointless. I'm not going to do this now. Maybe at the end of the episode I will. Actually, it's probably time, honestly. No, I'll do that at the end of the episode, though, because I'm going to change some of the libs that will, once again, change the files. So we'll remember this for the end. I'm actually going to make a note at the... What if I do that? Yeah, that looks nice. Right at the bottom, we'll put that. And let's just see what... Whoa! Auto junk. We'll put this in next stream. Next stream question mark? And maybe we'll do it before the next stream. But for now, it's not super important. This basically just decides when you open up the File Explorer how up-to-date the things you're seeing are, kind of. So let's go to the next thing. Redundant checks. Okay. Interesting. So, if you remember, this is related to that same other darn commit that we were talking about. This one. Yeah. So I added this, and now in the other commit, I've removed that. Let's do that. Let's just do that and walk away from it, honestly. I'm going to just take this, and I'm going to just change that line to this line, and I'm going to forget about these two commits, and I'm going to say, it helped. To me, it is better. It does make more sense. I don't want to say the active element. When we're talking about stealing focus, anything in the button, anything is okay. Oh, wait, maybe there is a way to test this. So if I right-click, I got the menu. If I click the button, I lose focus. Is that what I wanted? I honestly think that is what I wanted, so I don't know what... I wish I remembered how to test that. But let's get rid of... Like I said, let's get rid of these two commits by doing one change. And let's say we've made an improvement. File entry index, line 60 something. Here it was. So from this, we'll just change it to that. And now it needs to be on 2 lines, apparently. This is in the same vein of the other one. Active element doesn't equal button ref. This actually covers that case. If active element is button ref, then the contains thing counts. It was my memory of how this test works, so. Not bad. And as far as how to word this, maybe I'll go with that original commit message. Don't lose focus for things inside button. And maybe one day I'll remember what that meant. We're going to delete that commit so I don't have to worry about it. And we'll just, change it here. So we changed that one piece. And like I said, it's an improvement in my mind, even though I can't remember how to test it. The idea of contains versus equality, for the way that I'm talking about it in focus, that was the better way. So let's accept past Dustin's commits and wash our hands of them. That puts us right here. JS-DOS, allow compressed and new icon, right. These are minor ones too. I'll just do these manually. So for the extensions, this is where I keep track of what the extensions are and what they can do. The JS-DOS files, I actually want the icon, even though they are a compressed file, I've decided I want the icon to represent the default app, kind of, and be JS-DOS icon, which exists. And I'm also going to tell it that the JS-DOS files can be opened with the File Explorer, because if you try to open a zip file with File Explorer, it will mount it. It will mount it if you let it, and then you'll be able to see all its files. So it's cool that way. But right now it won't work that way, because there's one other piece to this puzzle, which is this constant here called mountable extensions, in which I'm going to add this, the JS-DOS extension, ABCDAFG, HIJK, and then there's Z, as the song goes, because there's only 11 letters in the alphabet. All right, that's done. As a test, let's test it. So now when we go to a JS-DOS file, which is in ROMs, see, now it's got the JS-DOS icon instead of compressed, and when I right-click, now I have open with, and when I go File Explorer, it allows it to open and mounts it. So now I can see inside that JS-DOS file, I can see doom.exe is in there, or I can right-click and say open it in JS-DOS, and then I can let it play the Doom file. And soon I'll have more abilities. I'll have ability to open these files as text documents or whatever. Maybe even to double click some of these and have them work, but like an exe. That's another step for another day. Okay, let's commit that as JS-DOS allow compressed and new icon. I'm not happy with that wording, but I don't want to overthink it. JS-DOS allow JS-DOS files to be mountable. Yeah, I think that is what I wanted. Okay. And use icon, JS-DOS icon. 2 over. I don't give a shit. Oh, it's too darn hot in here. I gotta drink some water. That helps a tiny bit. All right. What next? What next? Oh, so now we do a few lib upgrades. These will be easy because I'm just going to copy it. So WebAmp, I've upgraded. I think they had a big release to 1.50, and I was in like the 1.40s or something. So that's cool. As you can see, yeah, look at all the cool stuff. That's a minified file, so I'm joking there. Not too legible. Okay, that file name is correct, and we're just going to put it in this path right here. I'll just open it in my computer. I'm going to paste it into the right folder, and then I'll jump into the code and show you. As you can see, that file has been updated. We will test it by going here and just opening WebAmp. WebAmp still opens. I guess I can test other stuff about it. Where are the songs? Where are the songs? Music, demo. That seems to work. The skins still work. Yep, that works too. When you double click this, I wonder if when it switches skins, Winamp should become focused. Maybe I'll do that. Focus Winamp window on skin load. I think that makes sense. For another episode, not for this episode. Upgraded WebAmp to 1.5.0, and I don't have any idea if it reports its version somewhere. I don't think it does. It's got its own custom right-click menu, but there's no about. There's just this button that goes to their little library page, which I'm perfectly happy with. Or, wait, that didn't do jack anything. Oh, there we go. Maybe I didn't click it right the first time. Anyways, that's their Git repo, 8,000 stars. Woot. Good job, guys. That library is done. Let's commit that and not talk about it anymore. And now there's another library to update. That is JS-DOS. They've finally gone to version 7 as the main version, which took a long time. That's cool. Looks like they have changed their WASM by some massive margin, or by 1%. I can't believe it 99% changed. That'd be weird. Looks like it decreased in size. That's good. Okay, let's save these. Download that. This one I have to save the old manual way. Same with this one. And as you see here, there's no source maps in those files because I've taken the time to delete the source maps. I don't have any use for them. Don't care about them. I just need to go copy the files now. Let me quickly do that in the background. Hidden behind the background. Replace the 3 files. Now you'll see them appear here. There we go. Upgraded JS-DOS lib to B7000. Or 00, not 3 zeros. What's next? Let me close that. Close this. I upgraded Ruffle too. Okay. Let's just take a peek at it. As far as upgrading it, let's just go to their website because they actually use nightlies. So we can get something newer pretty much every day. Might be the same with JS-DOS. I guess if for this episode, we could take the time to just see what the releases are. Go to their GitHub here. Yeah, 13 days ago, 7.00. And what was the WebAmp one? Had it changed? 1.50, 14 days. So both of them were 2 weeks ago they updated, but I didn't update them last week. And what was the other one? Ruffle, right. I jumped past it there. For Ruffle, if you go to downloads, they got the self-hosted ones. I want the nightly for as soon as possible, the 14th, okay. I think, yeah, today's the 14th, so hopefully that works. I'll just extract it here. Again, it's secretly in the background. I'm not going to show you guys. I'm not one of those screen share types. I just share the bare minimum. Oh, right, there is something we have to change here, unfortunately. With these Ruffle nightlies, they have like a scrambled WASM name every time, which is quite annoying. So I have to change it, and then I typically edit it in Notepad++, because if I edit it in VS Code, the bracket pair colorizer loses its mind as it tries to color the minified file, which is an unfortunate flaw with the bracket pair colorizer. Anyways, I'm just renaming it here. I'm almost done. And then I'll show you guys that I've copied it. Just don't want to miss doing it properly because otherwise it won't work. Okay, I think I just copied the two files. So let's jump to VS Code now and see that it has changed. Yay, they've changed. And quickly we'll test them. We didn't even test the JS-DOS one. Darn it. Let's test it now. It's already been updated. JS-DOS still works. That's a good enough test for me. And the other one was Ruffle. I don't have any direct links to Ruffle. I should add some shortcuts. But we do have some flash files here. We'll use the Badger one to see if Ruffle's still working. Looks like it is. Badger, 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 mushroom, mushroom. That is like a very old meme that probably not a lot of people remember. Or were born when existed. All right, upgraded Ruffle lib to nightly. As of, what was it, 8/14, well, today. I mean, it has the date, I have the date here, and it's called nightly, so let's not waste any more time adding versioning. Upgrade browser FS, I'm on a roll here. Okay, so this one here, did I do this twice or just once? Browser FS, okay. So for this one, I've actually ended up building it myself. As far as the upgrade, what the heck did I upgrade? I think it had a bug. I don't even remember. And I got source maps here? That's wrong. Well, I'll trust that I upgraded it because I think wait, what did I change then? That's frustrating. It seems like I must have fixed something. This is where I need to do that PR. I want to do a PR into browser FS to fix a few bugs that I've found along the way. But until I do, I'm like not completely clear if what I changed. Because at one point I was messing around with loading the file system differently. Let me see if its size has changed much. It was 208 kilobytes, and the other one was 208. Okay. Well, it's the same size, so I don't think I added anything special here. Let's just upgrade it and see. Let's go see if the code thinks it changed. Okay. So I changed something about it. In general, I've been doing some fixes. I'm going to apply a PR in the near future. I don't even remember if I did another fix. That's the frustrating thing. I literally, this upcoming week, I'm going to have a PR and then we'll go over it. I got a message here from Vitz Lab, Zorg. Cool. What the Zorg one? There's the Zorg character from Fifth Element. I might have done some quote from him and not even realized it, possibly. Or perhaps you're just randomly saying Zorg. I don't know what other Zorg things there are. Anyways, upgrade browser FS. Let's do it. So like I said, that upgrade is based on my custom fixed build. They haven't upgraded. They haven't changed their version in a long time. What's next? Darker start menu background. Okay, that's a minor one. Oh, didn't I just change this? This is the sidebar, though. So I actually wanted to make the sidebar slightly darker. I should specify that in this new commit. Go to the styled sidebar. Oh, it didn't even look like I had a background there, actually. Yeah, let's take a peek. Let's take a comparison here. Oh yeah, very light. You can very clearly see the three things behind it, maybe too clearly, I would say. I think that was my concern I had. Let's paste in the background and take a peek. Let's see now. Okay, yeah, much darker. I think that's closer to how Windows is. I think I'm going to stick with that for now. So I actually do like that. But I'm going to change the name of that commit. Darker start menu sidebar background. Come on, let's use the whole word here. We got room. Another commit done. That was quite a few. We're getting through them. We're getting through them. What's the next one here? Allow resetting file system and reloading. What the heck? Oh, this is that power button thing where when you click the power button, it'll clear all your changes and start fresh. So let's just load the diff. Let's just trust in the diff. The patch, sorry. And we'll go through the changes there and decide what are the changes we want to actually keep. Do the same tedious thing here. If nothing else, this maybe helps other people remember how to do it by me repetitively doing it over and over again, as I like to do. Apply another patch. Okay, so what were the changes? So first off, for ESLint, I've added a no console to allow warnings. Why did I do that? Right. I think there's some scenarios where you want to have a warn. So in the case of the person pressing the power button, if somehow they've got like some extension that doesn't allow them to, or that stops my site from refreshing the page, then at least they'll see the console warning error that's like, hey dude, you just press shutdown. Don't expect anything to work. So sometimes it is okay to warn a user, I feel like. Okay, what have I changed here? What is this? This is the sidebar. I've added an action to the sidebar props. Right, that's something I wanted to have. So basically those 4 sidebar buttons don't do anything right now. Now I've said the properties, there will be an action that gets passed in on each button, and you, on clicking of the button, run the action. Simple enough. As far as the sidebar, it used to just be the styled sidebar, which still has remained unchanged, it looks like. But I've moved the bottom buttons. Wait. Oh yeah, the bottom buttons were here, document and power. I've moved them into the component so that I could do a little bit more dynamicness here with the action for now. Basically, this hasn't changed. I needed to use the file system so that I could do reset FS as a command I made. So this already existed, these buttons here. All I added was this action that runs the function fs reset fs, and then it's a promise. So finally, after it's fail or pass, I don't care, reload the page, basically. So the meat and potatoes of it is actually going to be in the reset fs function, which is here. Close this. Let's take a peek at what I've done here. What have I done? Oh, why do I have this? Okay, that's fair, I guess. I hate ESLint ignores, but this is beyond my control, this piece here. So I think it's actually okay here. Probably okay there. I wonder if I'd want the exception in the config. I don't think so for this. If it was something core to like the entire project, like let's say it's a Webpack thing, maybe then you could put it in ESLint and say, hey, ignore these few things with Webpack. But this is just very specific to the file system context. It's not like a React thing or something. So let's just let it be with an inline ESLint ignore. What have I done? So the root fs command, we already had that here. We were already getting the root fs. And what I found out is that you can do this get fs. Now this underscore makes me think it could be considered a private function, but it's actually not, because they've actually done all the typing properly for this stuff, and it's public. So until they want to make it private, this function was very useful for me. This basically lets you get the file system pieces as an overlay FS. There might be a better way to do it. I haven't figured it out yet, but this was good enough. So it's like get whatever file system is serving this path, and then give me the raw, the base FS for it. And if we look at the structure of the file system here, it's a mountable file system with an overlay FS that consists of an HTTP for readable and the index for writable. So, oh, where's the code? So based on that, this gets that overlay FS, and then there's a function on that called get overlaid file systems. And with that, you can get this readable and writable. And the reason I didn't destruct them here is I wanted to define the types. And I couldn't, can I think of another way to do that? No, because these don't know that this just says file system, which is not ideal for me. Although I guess I could just do it here. I'm just wondering from what's cooler if I do readable, writable like that, And then here when I run readable, I just say as that, because I'm only using it once. And same with as writable. This might end up making this on a couple lines, but that's okay, I guess. Might look ugly. Yeah, I'm not super happy with how that looks. I think I did like the way it looked before. Sometimes you try to make it fancier and it actually looks worse. So I needed to specifically typecast these because it didn't know by default what these were. Unless this command is generic, is it? No, this just takes file system. And the constructor, yeah, it doesn't know. But the reason why I needed to be specific with it is because that's how you know that this empty command exists, because not every file system has the ability to empty. So for readable, it kind of resets some indexes, but for writable, it actually does something legit. It does properly delete the indexed DB. And then I have, if there's an error, it rejects it, and otherwise it resolves. But as we remember, there's a finally on the other end, so it's going to reload no matter what. And that's the gist of it, so let's try it out. So basically, I'm just using an existing function in browser FS to clear it. So we already have all these folders, so let's try it. We open this, and we click power, and there we go. It reset the file system. So I'm going to use that from now on instead of this application clear site data. That was getting tedious. And otherwise, I'm pretty happy with the change, I think, the way it is. I needed these types, which are part of the import here. And I had to export the resetFS function as a promise that's void. Oh, wait, is it void? It's actually not void. Oh, yeah, it is void. If there's an error, it's an error, but that's not the same thing. Okay, let's commit that. And wait a minute, why did I have that console log stuff? Huh, that's true. Maybe at one point I cared about that? Okay, so I actually don't remember why I did that ESLint rule. Let's, again, not add stuff that's unnecessary. I mean, I actually believe in that rule a little bit if we're doing warn, but I'm not even warning anymore. So what do I have to warn? Yeah, I mean, if someone presses power and they have something that's forcibly not allowing me to reload, then I don't care about that person too much. From a UX point of view, at least. From a person point of view, I mean, hey, if you need a hand, give me a call, sure. But from a how to use the user interface, you're on your own, buddy. Figure it out. That makes this one done, I think, and moves us on to this. Offset peak at corners. What does that mean again? Oh, right. This is a cool fix, actually. So let's say we open this here and we go to take a look at peak. You see there, we get a nice little peak window at the bottom left. But let's say I make the window really wide, like that wide. Now when we hover over it, oh, you see it goes off the screen. That is not how it works in Windows. And it also gives me a chance to start using something that I hadn't been using as much, but I want to use more because of an article I actually saw from someone recently talking about transform, CSS transform. And I kind of forgot, like, right, I do use transform a little bit, but I haven't been using it as much as I wanted to because I've been using like padding and margins a little bit sometimes, and I'm not proud of it, honestly. Git apply users Dustin desktop. Come on, Windows, refresh. 1, 2, yada yada. There we go. Let's see what I changed. I got a bunch of consoles open here. I only had to change peak window. Basically just added an effect. So I referenced the peak element, the styled peak window. And I also am going to apply some styling to it, that transform. Basically what I do is say if there's an offset, then I want you to do translate on the x-axis, that offset in pixels. Otherwise, there's no definition for the transform. Actually, maybe I can do this one layer below that and go like this. There we go. That might be better. Because the other way I was still setting styling. There, yeah. So if there's no offset, don't even set styling. And if there is, then set this transform with the offset there. I should call it offset X, I guess. Yeah, let's do that. That's the first change. I think that's probably more accurate for what it is. Okay, so it's just a basic state. Its default is 0. And the way I do it is, so whenever the image loads, once there's an image, we take a look at the position of the peak element. On the instance, there's an image. We get its left and its right to figure out its position. And if its left is less than 0, then it's off screen. And we set the offset to the positive version of the left. Otherwise, if its right is greater than the width of the screen, then we set it as the width of the screen minus however much it's to the right, which, right, offsets it to the negative. So to actually go backwards. So like if you had 1,000 and it's at 1,050, then you'd get -50 here, and it would go -50 to the left. Otherwise, we just keep it as 0. And we do want to have this where we set it as 0 explicitly for the next round. Like, let's say if image triggers twice. I don't think it does, but do we want this now that I think about it? It's already 0. This is only going to trigger one time, or is it going to trigger a bunch of times? Because once one of these occurs, then these events won't need to occur, and the offset should remain. Yeah, let's not have this. I don't think that part's necessary at the moment. I'm not sure. Okay, let's try it. Go to the browser. So now when we hover over this item, there we go. It's all the way to the left. Exactly as you'd expect. And let's try to test the other way. Open a bunch more windows here so we can get it all the way to the right. We need a bunch of little items. Okay, this one here, music. So let's make music just as big and now highlight over it. And it's all the way to the other side instead of overlapping. And it works just as you'd expect. Cool. So that worked, and to me that's simpler, the code, than the alternative where I had some other wonky stuff going on. Not much though. It wasn't too wonky. We call this one offset peak at sides, let's say. More than corners. Corners was not the right word for it. Next up, how many more commits we got here? A lot. Actually, not so many. Don't cascade off screen. This was another one I wanted to fix. Looks like it was a minor one. So basically, let's reset all this again. We open up a window here. Let's say I open up this window. I have one here, and then I open up another one. You see it already went off screen. It cascaded to the right off the screen. Usually someone wouldn't open the window from the corner. But let's say if it's in the center and then all of a sudden 10 different windows open. The way that Windows does that is it kind of... It recenters, but it also offsets. I should do an offset, I guess. Although, is there a point in that? No. Basically, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to have, when this occurs, instead of doing Cascade, just go to the center. Kind of, which is like the default for a few fail scenarios. Let's apply the change thusly. Should I do a patch again? I guess so. The patches are just easier, honestly. I'm happy with them so far. They've been working. It's not like one click or nothing, but it's pretty close. I gotta stop closing the command prompt and having to retype it the whole time. It's like my 10th time typing it. It's called one, etc. What was the change again? Right. So I check if the render, if where its position will be off screen in regards to which function? Oh, this is just something I check for. Okay. So in the cascade position, right, when it's about to cascade, I was already getting its position, but now I get its height and its width as well to know if it'll be off screen. And I just say its position plus what offset? Oh, plus any passed in offset plus its width is greater than the inner width of the window. Yeah, right. So basically I make the box and then I say, okay, is that going to be outside what I know of as the window? So if either of these are true, then it's off screen. And if it's not off screen, then position it in its cascade position. Otherwise, this is undefined, and then it goes to the next possible positioning, which is centering. Let's try it. Okay, oops. Close that, move this here. Oh no, I don't know, that was my folder. So now when I'm down here and I open that, there we go, it's centered. And if let's try to find one, open this, and now if I open that, you see it opens, so it still does properly cascade off of itself. But if it's gonna go off screen, just put it in the center, and hey, you know, those are the edge cases where it goes off screen anyways. Don't cascade off screen, please. It's tacky. Oh, it is so hot in here. It's insane. I don't know if it's hot or if I'm just like sweating like crazy. It's hard to tell the difference. Add missing return types. Okay, I think I might have applied some lint rule that made me find these things. But did I keep the lint rule? I don't know. I don't think I did, but these all look very nice and useful. I'm going to take all 4 of them. I think I didn't keep the lint rule because I actually liked some of the implicit typing. Actually, I don't remember why I didn't keep the rule. Let's not keep it. Let's not use it, though, just in case. But, don't know why. Next one is called 7.3. There we go. Okay, let's see what the changes were. So, right, forget shortcut info. I should have said I'm returning file info. I didn't say that. For the sort case insensitive, I should be clear it's a number. For here, yeah, you got to be clear it's a component, and here, clear it's a string. All the other cases, it was just void. I'm gonna let void I'm gonna allow void to be undefined. Although at the same time, did I ever make it implicit? I think I did after. Here we go. Let's just do that now. So let's go into the ESLint rules and add that too, so that we don't have any of these slipping in again. It is a TypeScript rule, so we'll put it in the TypeScript rules, and it's called explicit function return type. So allow expressions, I think, was to allow those void ones. But otherwise, I think it should now catch all of them. And I also, now that this one's lined, this one is a one-liner. I also wanted to make this a one-liner. And this too, these small ones. Because Prettier allows that. And I think it's fine to do one-lines here if they can fit on my minimum required. Oh, okay. So now, right. So we are going to have explicit voids. So I'm actually missing a bunch more now. These were all relevant. These were not void. This is the rule. But now if we do an ESLint, I think we're going to catch a bunch that I didn't do. Scanning here, and then I'm going to, there we go. So it found 34, so we're going to also clean those up as well. And at the same time, I'm going to ignore another rule on this script, because this is a custom script that really isn't part of the scan, but I mean, maybe I should just stop scanning JavaScript files with ESLint. But I think there might be some files that are useful. I'm going to put these on separate lines so I can see what these exceptions are. This script file needs to be cleaned up, but I partially inherited it, so I've kind of just been leaving that one alone. Otherwise, I think all of the... I think this is probably the perfect example for patch, because a ton of stuff just changed here with this other commit. I'm going to combine this commit with... so I added those 4 missing types, and now and then I added the ESLint rule, and now I'm going to add all the voids using the commit that I originally had. And that commit is 4.6 something something. Okay, it failed on a couple. That's okay. Wait, does that mean it failed on all of them? Right. This one and this one were those ones I just added. So here's the original 4 additional return types, and I'm going to apply this commit on top of them. That's going to give us that ESLint rule that I just discussed. It's going to give us that exception here, and then it's going to give us all these voids that I was missing before. So now every time I make a function, I have to be clear with the return type. That's the way I want it. That's the way I want it. As you can see here, these are all just void, void. That was the one that was real, void. Yeah, I think I'll just combine these two together. And we'll just call this commit the explicit return types. Require explicit return types. Yep. I think it just makes it clear because sometimes when you have to specify, you're like, oh, actually, I don't want it to do that. I should change this. I've just had so many of those moments, you know? I think people take it for granted that when you start doing this stuff, it actually, it only gets in the way until it helps you. At some point, it stops getting in the way and it starts being a tool to help you. But it can be hard to see how that happens until it does. More explicit stuff. Okay. Explicit member accessibility. Right. Didn't I decide I didn't want this in the end? Maybe I was happy with that one. I'm not sure. I think I ended up undoing some of these. Module boundary. No, okay, I'll keep these. So I'm actually okay with that one. Let's do that one. Again, this is I think when I just found some more ESLint rules. I'm always trying to find new rules that are general enough where I can quickly apply them without having to really overly customize them. So this one here, explicit member accessibility. This is for classes. I pretty much don't use classes. The only time that a class is used is in the boilerplate for Next.js, which is here for the document. Here I'm extending over the get initial props and on the render. And these are being overridden in the public scope, accessibility scope, or whatever you want to call it. So let's apply that one as well and say ESLint explicit, I'll say class scoping. I don't like that. That makes more sense to me. I don't think it's more correct from a programming point of view to word it that way, but I just did that, so it's done. That was another commit. Now, as far as more strict rules, I had yet another one that doesn't even do anything. Module boundary types. I don't see a point in adding this if it doesn't help. Yeah, let's not add. What the heck's that even mean? Explicit module boundary types. Let's take a search of that. Require blah, blah, blah. Should indicate that no value is returned. What? What the heck is the difference? Oh, not doing export because explicit types for function return values and arguments make it clear to any calling code what is the module boundaries, inputs, and outputs. Consider using this rule in place of no untyped public signatures, which has been... Okay, let's use it. I don't think I'm breaking that rule, though, but I wouldn't want to. Sounds bad. Let's add it alphabetically, which means it goes here. And let's do a yarn ESLint and make sure we didn't break something. Because I'm kind of known for breaking stuff. And I'm just going to... Nice, nothing broke. So we're going to save another patch for another change. Wait, what was this change? Yeah. Explicit ESLint explicit module boundary types. Yeah, I don't like the wording on that one because it doesn't really do much for me, but I'm going to save it that way. Now for this next one, I'm going to apply another patch because I'm getting hooked on them. And it's got a few changes. Let's see this one. So here I found some more rules in the tsconfig file. No implicit returns. Right, I don't like any of that implicit stuff. And no property access from index signature. Now I think this one required a change. Here it is here, yeah. So here I'm accessing it that way using that bracket notation. And then in the next one I was using dot notation. And I think they make a good point that I should use bracket notation in both cases. And I also like the idea of having the default theme name be a constant, so I just ended up doing that. And as far as the no implicit returns, I'm okay there because I've been explicit with all my returns now. but it was that was a TS rule that was worth doing. So let's say stricter TS rules. Commit that. How many commits are we at? We're at 20 commits. I'm going to push these 20 that I have in case my computer randomly blows up, just to get those out the door. And maybe I'll get an email that said the test failed or something. Who knows? Let's go to the next stuff. What's next? Okay, so we've done quite a few days now. We've already done 1, 2, 3, the first 3 days, all the way up to here. Yeah. Refactor JS-DOS. Right. So this is the point where I looked at the JS-DOS version 7, saw what changed, and then decided to kind of apply those changes. Looks like it was a hefty change. Let's just go right to the patch with that. And we'll jump to the code. We'll apply the patch, and then we'll just all be the better for it. As soon as I refresh my desktop so I can see the file that I got. Let's see what changed here. Okay, 5 files. So I think I added these packages, right? So now the JS-DOS packages we're going to use, because V7 was beta, and these packages I think were these were V7 packages. Anyways, I've just decided now to put them in dev dependency so I can properly use the JS-DOS types. So if you look at my types now, I basically got rid of everything. So before I had the CI defined, I had the message callback stuff defined. We have to run yarn install here. I don't know if it's going to work, but let's just try it. There we go. Hopefully it now got this. I don't think it did though. Let's try again. No. Let's ignore that. This works now. So we have this type. Let's see if I go definition. Go to definition. Yeah, it doesn't know what it is right now, but that's just TypeScript once again being silly, plus node modules. Because I changed the package file without updating node modules properly. So you see here, I was able to minimize the amount of types I needed and use the JS-DOS ones. Now here, I also was able to use the JS-DOS types. I've decided to use this DOS worker emulator instead of... I noticed that when you load it by default and you don't specify an emulator function, it was going DOS box worker, and I couldn't even find that in the code. I don't know what that is. But on the docs for V7, they recommend this approach of using emulator function DOS worker for the DOS options. So I made that as a constant up here within the config. And I just moved these down, I think, from an alphabetical point of view. But nothing changed between those 3 things. And then the big changes were all here, I guess. Let me close this to get this out of the way. So we imported more of these types that we now know. We updated them here. So I've also... There's now this thing called this DOS instance. I mean, I guess there was before, but I didn't know about it. I was just using the DOS command interface, the CI that you got when you run the first DOS run command, and then it spits out the CI and the promise. Now I'm getting the instance as well, and now I've split it into 2 effects now. So I load the files just like before, although I had this async in here for no reason. I think that was a mistake. Oh, no, it wasn't for no reason. I'm sorry. It was because I was getting the object URL, but that's been split into 2 pieces now. So the first piece just loads the DOS files, sets the emulator like needed to be set here before, and then it sets that initial DOS instance. The instance is what we work off of to do the running and to get the command interface. It's the same as this command was before, I think. Let me check. Yeah, it's just this window.dos command where we pass in the container, but we also now pass in the options where we say the right emulator function. So now with the instance, the reason we wanted to have the instance is because it also does better cleaning up on the destroy function. Now that second effect, it's cleanup. Instead of just being dos.exit, which was the CI, now we've dos instance.stop, which stops a few things and the CI. Still didn't stop the keyboard properly, so I'm still running this command to stop that keyboard thing that it starts up. Otherwise, not much changed. This async has been moved to read file instead of load files because it's in a different effect. This all stayed the same. Yeah, not much change. Just passing that option and using the instance to destroy instead. And then also here, I was using frame height and frame width. But now that I've got the proper types, I realize that these are supposed to be private. And instead, the proper way to access is .height function and .width. So that I prefer as well. Otherwise, yeah, this is all fine. All these things that say they're wrong, it's just wrong. It's not correct there. I don't see anything to change here. I'm pretty happy with that still. Let's test it and make sure JS-DOS still works. Open up Doom. Yep, still works. So we're on, still closes properly and does whatever amount of destroying it has the ability to do. Refactor JS-DOS for version 7. Great. That was a decently easy one. Let's go to the next. How much time are we at here? 120? Nice. Okay. We just did this. So here's that thing I was talking about where we upgrading some Next.js stuff. And now we no longer need the dynamic piece, so we don't even need the setup for JS-DOS. And then also upgrading to Next.js 11 required that I added this comment in. It's just part of the new Next.js 11.1. See here we upgraded to 11.1. We upgraded these 3 types. We got rid of dynamic, and we upgraded our lock file. Cool. I'm going to use this as a patch as well, because I'm pretty happy with how that looks. We'll go into the code. Oh, darn it. What did I even do? I copied the URL. I didn't save the file. I don't know what the heck I was up to there. This time I saved it. Let's open that terminal. Run the command as soon as I figure out what the name of it is. In this case, it's now a 9.8 patch. 9.8. There we go. And we want to run yarn install too, so we make sure we have those packages that were part of package. Let's take a peek at the change again. So I deleted the setup that had the dynamic, just dynamic. We don't need that. We don't need it referenced here to run setup. That's part of 11.1. And here's where we upgraded 11.1. We upgraded some types. And we got rid of dynamic. Now let's do a yarn test and let's see if it's a bit faster. Remember before it took about 10 seconds? Now it is taking literally the same amount of time. What the heck? Okay, bad example. Took about the same time, 10 seconds. Let's try again. Well, that's odd. There we go. That was a lot faster. Let's try one more time. Okay. It seemed to take longer on the first run, but it worked a bit better. The dynamic one was slow every time, I had found, so. As far as these updates, let's run yarn outdated and see if these are still the newest things, because we might still be missing some other updates. Okay, we're missing, right, the ESLint stuff I've decided to avoid this time. The Next.js ESLint changes kind of mess things up for me. But there are some updates here. There are some updates. I'm just trying to get a better view of these. So not the ESLint one, but these types. That should actually be a 1 now. This is supposed to be... Whoa, that was a big jump. That went all the way to 16.6.1. And then the React one is now at 18, not 17. Okay, those are updated. ESLint, ESLint. Don't worry about browser FS. Wait, what kind of ESLints were these? Yeah, yeah, I don't trust most of these ESLint ones. Maybe the Sonar.js one, but I'm not gonna mess with the ESLint updates this stream because I did mess with them earlier and I had a heck of a time with it. So I've updated the packages again. I'm gonna once again run yarn install. Try to get those types. Not that it's relevant. Nice. That one's done. What was that called again? That was the upgrade next and types and remove just dynamic. Don't mind if I do. Let's jump to the next thing. DOS exit cleanup. Okay, what was not clean enough here? Okay, so I moved doing the keyboard into the CI exit steps. I think I like that. That sounds kind of neat. That does seem cleaner in some ways. Oh, whoa, what did I just do? I keep forgetting how to do this. That's part of the problem. This needs to be like a one button thing. I just click like apply to VS Code, beep. I'm sure it could be done. I'm not going to do that though. Every time I say I wish there was, I realize, you know, you could do that. And then I decide, okay, I'm lazy. I'm not going to do that. Right, so this has become more simple. This is just the stop command, and I don't need to check if DOS instance exists if I'm going to have the question mark stuff here. The optional chaining. And I've added another event on exit. I wonder if I should just... No, this is fine like this. I like this. So there's 3 events. There's the onMessage event, the onFrameSize, and now onExit. It cleans up it destroys the keyboard as best it can. Which they should just do in the DOS instance stop, but doesn't seem to be the case. DOS exit cleanup. I'm happy with that change. The change is sufficient. JS-DOS. So here's the autosave. This is a big one. This is that thing I was telling you guys about, and I think I ended up doing it somewhat cleanly. I think I'm pretty proud of the simplicity of it. The file system watcher, not so much. We're not there yet. I mean, I actually am proud of the file system watcher one too, but it took a few commits to kind of get every piece together, I think, with that one. Let's take a peek at this one here. So it's only 3 files, right? I've made a saves path. I'm not set in stone on this save path being different between JS-DOS and V86. Currently, I make another variable like this for V86 because they could save to different places, but I might get the idea of like a generic save path. Oh, I'm really thinking about it, in fact, honestly. Maybe let's do that. Let's just do it. So we're not going to save that path here. What we're going to do is we're going to put it in constants. And we'll put here, oops, export const save path equals, what was it, saves? Darn it, I lost it. I think it was saves, but now I'm thinking it was not saves. Yeah, it was saves. Okay. So we'll put it there instead. What's the next file? This is wrong then. And I can just get it from this constant here, actually. And put it wherever we had save path, which was here, I guess, and here and here. Okay. Now let's look through the change and see what's up. These are just imports, so I needed base name and join from path. Let's see why. So the DOS instance has to, oh right, here's some fixes I think I needed to do. If you remember, we split this up into the DOS instance and the CI steps here. So I only want this to run the one time. If there is a DOS instance, but there's no CI, then we initialize the CI, the command interface. And in all cases, we do the destroy event, but we'll get to that in a second. What else did I change here? I switched this to be called bundle URL instead of object URL. I switched these because now I don't know why I changed that actually, honestly. Why did I change this? What was wrong with the word contents before? That's a heck of a question, honestly. I'm not sure why I changed this. Did I have another error? There's no other error. Huh. I don't think that needed to change. You know? So let's not. Why did I change the name of it? I'm trying to process that in my mind. What if I put it back? Does it complain? If it doesn't complain, then I'm going to say it didn't need to change. Contents. Okay. Let's just leave that as it was. Bundle URL. I like that wording better. So I've added a read file here at the initialization of the instance of the CI step. And the reason I do that is that we try to see if the save file already exists. So we make a path to the save path plus the base, the file name .save.zip, because that's how we save it with that extension. And this is custom to JS-DOS. Maybe I should have that piece. Let's have that. Let's call it the save extension. Export const save extension. That's specific, because V86 will have another one of those. We will put that right here, like so. Pressing save will auto import it. I didn't even save it over here yet. There we go. What else changed? So it tries to read. Ah, right. Because there's nested reads here. Okay. So that's why this became URL error and this became URL contents, because there's also save contents and save error. So I answered my own question eventually. Took some time to remember. Now there's 2 read events, right? There's the reading of the URL and then there's the possible reading for the save file. Now it says optional changes URL. is wait, it creates the buffer URL? Do we want that? Because what if there is no save file? Then what happens? Optional. So would that be a I'm just trying to process here. If this doesn't exist, this read file, an error would occur. And why do I have async here if I'm not doing await? There's a few things I've done wonky. Oh, right. Here's something I had to do to JS-DOS. I think JS-DOS had to change. Did I change it this time? Oh, yeah. I had to change the JS-DOS library slightly. What did I change? Because the optional URL, it was adding a date timestamp, and my web server didn't understand that. It wasn't able to ignore that, and it couldn't find the buffer URL properly with this date timestamp existing. So I've made a note of it here because I'm hoping they fix that in the future, and then I don't have to add that again to the library if next time I update it. Now, a confusing part I had was this buffer to URL piece, because this might be empty. This could be an empty buffer. It's okay, though. I'm not going to worry about it. This could be an empty buffer. This creates a URL. It cleans it up here anyways. So this could be an array, I guess, these cleanup buffer URLs. I could do that. Maybe I should. Clean up buffer. No, let's not, because then how many times do I have to change this? Let's just run it twice here. So we clean up the original URL, plus we clean up the optional changes URL. So the way that the save works is you just pass in the thing that saved, the zip file, as the second parameter and run. Whereas before I didn't have a second parameter and run. So I'm just trying to read the save file if it exists and pass it in there. And otherwise nothing changes as far as I can see. Yeah, otherwise the commands is the same. It's this piece here. With that additional cleaning up, because you got to clean up the buffer URLs. And then here's the saving part of it. So the trick here is this persist command. That's part of JS-DOS, where if you do persist, it'll give you a zip file. It'll just say, okay, well, here's a buffer to a zip file with everything I saved. And then what I do is I run this make directory command because it's a chance the save path doesn't exist yet. So I say make, oh, this recursive is wrong. I can get rid of that. That didn't work. I realized later on. We'll just get rid of it now. So make directory, for now, it's not going to be recursive, so this could be an issue if someone wanted to customize the path to be multi-level. I'm not going to worry about that at the moment. And then I don't care if there's an error here. I don't care if it says error, it exists, doesn't matter. Okay, fine, whatever. It either created it or it already existed, so I'm just going to move on to the writing stage. I say write the save. Here's the path. Here we'll also add that extension piece. Right, save extension here. Like so. That's where it saves it with the buffer of the zip, buffer.from the save zip, because it's an int array with the right flag. I don't know why we need this W here. I think the W is to prevent the error, but I'm actually not sure we need that, honestly. Let's get rid of that too. I think that's the default flag, so. And then once it has, and now the stop, just like before, the stop will run, and the stop runs after the save has occurred of the file. And it doesn't check if there's an error, so whether there's an error or not, it's just going to keep going through this stack, hopefully. And then that was actually it for changes. So some of the changes we just did together, let's just see if it worked, honestly. That should be it. I mean, I changed a few things, so it might not work. There's Doom loading. We'll go new game. Okay, and we're gonna, let's say, walk over here to the stairs, and we won't take that body armor. We'll say exit, save as Dustin. Okay, and now we'll just close the game. No errors. Now if we go to File Explorer and let's see if there's the saves folder. Yeah, saves. And here it is, doom.jsdos.save.zip. And if we double click it, you can see that it's got a, for some reason these empty .jsdos files folders seem to come up. But here's the Doom file, the Doom save0.dsg. So now if I were to open Doom again, it's going to load that automatically. And now when I go here, I can go load game, Dustin. And now I can keep playing my game that I was playing before. There we go. So now JS-DOS has saving abilities. And it'll save it again, just like it does. That was a big one. That was one I wanted for a while. So I'm happy that one's in the bucket. Let's save that. JS-DOS autosave. Close these million pieces we got here. And make a note of that commit, and we move on. Useless ignore. What's that? Okay. So on git ignore, I have a git ignore for this Husky file, but the auto-generated Husky folder creates a git ignore every time. So I'm not really doing myself any favors with that. Useless Husky git ignore setting. That just happens automatically with the prepare Husky prepare command. Oh, why did it have to do that? I'm not happy with the way that it did this formatting here, so I'm just gonna say useless Husky git ignore and not have that little underscore. Next is refactor JS-DOS CI hook. Okay, what did I already have to change here? Oh, that's a bit of a refactor. Did a file just move? What happened here? Use DOS CI. Okay, this is, I think, where I split it up into... Oh yeah, so here's the original file. I basically just moved this effect completely. Because remember how I said I split it up into a DOS instance and a CI now, whereas before I didn't know about the instance. So I put the instance in the main DOS app and the CI as another hook. And the main, sorry, there are two hooks. There's the use JS-DOS hook that loads the instance and then references the CI hook. And that's basically just all this red here. So now you see here the DOS CI, instead of coming from the state, is just coming from that hook. Then it just needs those 4 pieces of information. It needs the instance, it needs where the container is, the ID, and the URL. Because that's all the stuff that was needed here. Why was ID needed? Oh yeah, for link element, right? Amongst other things. I think that's all that changed. I got load files. I had that before, I think. Did I? Oh yeah, I had it here. So yeah, I basically just cut out a bunch of stuff and then I put it all here. Now, as to did anything change? We need to fix a few things here that I changed before that now have unchanged, unfortunately. It's minor, but I think the little things that changed were that extension that I added instead of doing yeah, you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna apply this patch, and then I'm gonna go into my changes and bring back the things that I preferred. Again, I did the weird thing where I just copied the URL. I know it's some combination of copying and pasting, but my brain can't remember the order, so I just start clicking. This file is that? Oh, patch failed. Right. Yeah, it's gonna fail. This is where the patches can be tough when we've deviated a little bit more than was hopeful. Let's keep the file that I removed everything, and let's just remake the hook. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take the use JS-DOS command, and we're just gonna paste the one where I've removed all that stuff, and we're gonna look at what it looks like here. So yeah, it looks similar. It's basically just deleting a bunch of stuff, but this is the way that I wanted the files to be. I think we can just copy this verbatim pretty much, and pretty much the same with the rest of that file that was the new hook. So the new hook is called use DOS ci.ts, and I'm going to copy and paste it in here, and then I'm just going to go right to the point of taking this piece back, because this whole got taken out. I'm just going to put it back. It was, what part was it? It was these two. It was this one effect, I guess, is all it really was. There we go. So that effect is back. I press save. It should fix the imports that weren't fixed before. There we go. And I think functionally that's still pretty much the same. Other than that, what else did I copy from here? From this change? Yeah, it was just this piece here, which was the imports. Those are auto fix. This is exactly the same as where it was cut out from. That never changed. I didn't change it at least. And then otherwise, it's almost all about this hook. This is just the return piece. That was there before. Those didn't change. Okay, so I still got that change in the end, but plus with my improvements, if we take a peek here at the use DOS CI, we have the improved save extension URL where we reuse that. And we also have, don't use the recursive that wasn't working. And we don't have the flag, right? And it worked still. Let's double check it works again. Does it work a second time? Because sometimes that's the real test. Still seems to work. Yeah, still in the right spot. The load worked. And if I were to, well, closing it saved it again. So it overwrote the save. Great. Refactor JS-DOS CI hook. So we've made JS-DOS a little more manageable. Still getting hefty, but that happens with the apps because you got to work around their APIs. So, you know, you need as many commands as you need to make it do what you want it to do. What's next? Save restore state for V86 as well. Yes, I want it. So luckily the V86 version of this change was pretty much equivalent. Oh no, I moved the code editor size slightly. Let me just fix that. There we go. Got slightly askew. Now we have a patch, and this patch is 077. There we go. What? Oh, use DOS CI? Why would that be something that's even part of the patch? Yeah, this is the problem. Once you start deviating from these changes. So this is just that recursive thing. All right, well, that's easy enough then. Yeah, this I actually didn't want anyways. I wanted the save extension piece. The types, we can fix that. Let's just change this thing here then. We'll copy this change here for the use V86, and let's just start there. That was the big one, and the other one was the types. Update that as well. It's types. And then the config, we wanted to add a save extension. And let's see what we used for an extension for that one. So in the use V86 one, we're not using save path now. Never mind that. Same thing, base name and join was needed. We took the config in because we're splitting up making the config now. Before we were just directly passing the config to the constructor, but now we build part of the config, but then we add initial state depending on if we find a file for the save path. This is kind of what I should have been doing with the other one, honestly. This conditional piece, let's do that in the other scenario as well. So this is for the reading of the save. Here's the extension. There we go. And it'll be down here as well when I'm saving, I bet. Yeah. And then save path is now going to be like that. Hi, Made. Big fan of you. Oh, thanks, Autobot. Appreciated. Much appreciated. Interesting idea to think of me having a fan, even. Oh, what did I want to do? Right. I wanted to go to the JS-DOS one, too. I mean, this is kind of off topic from this commit, but I think in the CI here, this is the same idea. Oh, no, not here. Sorry, here. When I read, see, I don't do anything with the save error. Wait, is it called a save error? Yeah, yeah. It's confusing. It's not a save. It's a save file. I should call it a restore, maybe? Save path. Restore contents. We'll just say that's save. Oh, we'll just say error, in fact. No, that's not. Because there's nesting. Is there nesting in the other one, too, then? Oh, yeah. Error. And then I have another one. Oh, I don't like that. Let's call this image error now, and we'll call this same thing, save error. So just like it's checked here, we'll also check it here. So if there's no save error, that's when this occurs. Wait a minute. Not going to make sense? Not particularly. This has to be a let then, I guess. I don't like doing that. Right. Let's do it a different way. Instead of... Oh, I need this URL twice, though, right? Because to clean up, I need it. I was thinking of putting the condition in here, but that won't quite work. Okay, so this has to be a let. It's a let. It starts as a empty string. Starts as nothing, completely undefined. And if that is true, then this occurs, right? Let's do it like that. There we go. What's it complaining about here? Variable implicitly has type any. Yeah, that's fair. It shouldn't. String. Okay, so there's an optional URL, and if there's no save error, then we'll take our effort to make the buffer. But then this could be undefined. Wait, variable is used before being assigned. Maybe I should just make it empty string then. It allows that. Okay. So then here when I'm cleaning it up, do you think it matters if it's empty? Probably not. Okay, yeah, this is slightly more efficient on initial load if there's no save file. Don't waste your time making a buffer URL and then don't worry about cleanup. I guess I could say that too. That might not exist. The bundle URL obviously will exist, but this might not exist. So I prefer that. That's basically what I had been doing here. Let's go back to looking at this V86 change. So not too much changed here. I added the word image contents instead of contents. I changed the name there. We no longer check the container ref here. Now we check it, I think, further down. Or now we just don't even check it. We just assume it's going to load. We press save here to get those imports. What else changed? So this is just like the other one, where we read what we think is the save file. If there's no error, in this case, instead of setting that path that we pass, we do this initial state on the V86 starter. Yeah, I like that. Okay. And the way that the state works is we just pass in the URL, which is that buffer URL again. And then we clean it up here after the emulator loads. Oh, wait, we don't. That was another... This is another one where it wasn't like this. Oh, what happened there? This needs to clean up here. Save contents. And same thing if this exists. If there's an initial state, then clean up that save content buffer. Oh, wait a minute. Does this make sense? No, it doesn't. .url. That's what that would be. There we go. Ooh, I don't like when it does that. If it's going to put on a new line, wrap it in some brackets. There we go. So we also clean up that one. We clean up the buffer URL and then conditionally clean up this one. That wasn't being cleaned up last time. Otherwise, not much change. So really the same as the JS-DOS one, but instead of passing the URL as a run command, we pass it as this initial state. And in this case, it's not a zip, it's a bin file. So I actually forgot that when I overwrote whatever it was called here. I think it's called save.bin, you'd hope, right? Yeah, save.bin. Did I make that extension? Maybe I did. I did and I forgot already. No, I hadn't named it. Save.bin, there we go. So that's the extension for the JS-DOS ones. Let's update this as a second commit. So this is a separate one. JS-DOS optional buffer URL on load. There we go. Oh, I copied it just in time. I need to copy it for my commit message, or for my messages here. And then the other piece of the puzzle was the V86 save and restore state. And we don't have recursive here. This error should be, is that called error in my other one? What's the DOS one call it? I'm trying to be consistent with it. Oh, I don't even get an error in this case. Versus, oh wait, this is me saving it? This is the save here. Oh yeah, I don't even check for an error on the make directory. But here I do? What? Oh no, this is just how emulator works. I should underscore this then. There we go. Emulator.save. Okay, so this is the concept. So if you remember for DOS there was the persist. Well, it's the same idea for V86. There happens to be an API command called save state. And it does the same thing where it gives you, in this case, a bin file. And then I do the exact same pattern. Again, we don't need this. In this case, it gives you just an array. So we had to convert it to an int 8 array first. In the other case, it came that way. And here we have the same destroy command, just like before. Okay, that looks good. Let's just commit that then. I'm happy with that. Let me just find the wording for it. Oh wait, we haven't even tested it. I guess we should test it, right? We're gonna get picky about it. Let's check it out. Let's open up Calibri here. Okay, so we boot into Calibri, which is like a custom OS. I don't even know if it's Linux or what it is. Oh, this is good. All right, boot it up. So now we're fully in the GUI for it, right? I can move around the mouse. I can open up whatever this app is. Okay, so now if I close, nothing blew up on me. There's this debug error. I guess you can't see it behind my window, but that happens sometimes. I might fix that one day, but it's actually not part of my library. Let's try to open Calibri again. Open it. Boom, right to it. So you can imagine in the future if I have a Windows 95, 98 image or something and I have an autosave, it's just going to be like, you're in. And if we go to our saves folder, we can see that it's in there. Calibri.image.save.bin. And if you want to not use that save, you could just drag this out of here. And now when we open Calibri, it'll be back to how it was before. Like that. I got a message here from Autobot. Is that Coke or Red Bull? That indeed is Red Bull, powered by Red Bull today. It's empty now. So good thing you asked before it was gone, because it's gone. I did mention at the top of the show, but no problem for not knowing that. We're just being a live stream. You just snuck in at the perfect time just to chill. Okay, so that's that commit. We've discussed it. It's just like the JS-DOS one. I'm going to commit it. We're going to make a note of it. We haven't even gotten to the file system watcher yet. I can't believe it, because that one felt like it took me the last 3 days to do that. Okay, save restore state for V86. We just did that. And now don't load Vanta till we are sure there's no wallpaper. Right, this was a simple little improvement. Let's just take a look at the patch, because I don't quite remember what I did, but I remember that I did something and that it helped. We'll jump to the code again, open up the console here, and apply yet another patch. I didn't catch the number on this one, 6F something or other. There we go. This one applied without a problem at least. That's nice. So I had to change some stuff. The use wallpaper hook, if you remember, where it decides between loading the dynamic wallpaper or an image. I've added another layer above this where it won't even make the decision until it knows if the session has been loaded for use session. So when you first open the page, rather than have it try to boot Vanta right away, if in the past, let's say you've set a wallpaper, it's going to wait and see. It's going to say, okay, well, we've read the session. I don't see the wallpaper. Let's boot up Vanta, basically. And that was all that there was. I just wrapped it in that. It was simple. I had to pass out session loaded before we weren't exposing session loaded's variable, but it did exist. So I just had to say there because I was already using it here to, where is it here? Where does it load? Where does it load? Here, yeah, this is the initial effect. So as soon as it's read the session file and it's set the wallpaper, then right away it'll say, hey, it's loaded. So at that point, the wallpaper can check. And if we want to see how it looked before, let's comment out these for a second. Oh, did I change something here too? Why is it complaining? It prefers the tabs like that. That's interesting. That's wrong, but let's just not worry about that for a second. So I'm going to drag in a picture to show you it not working first. Here's a good picture. This is my default wallpaper. So if I right click the wallpaper and I say set as wallpaper, there we go. Now if I refresh, you see Vanta and then the wallpaper. You see, you get Vanta, wallpaper. That's not ideal. So if we go back to how I have it now, now when you refresh, it's black and then the wallpaper. And that's actually more like how Windows is. There is a moment when Windows starts up where you don't see anything. And I mean, even currently that's how it is, but Vanta loads so quick that I need to like wait a second. It's like, hey, let me read the session and just make sure before you go about loading this big library, this WebGL chunk. And now that I have that more delayed load, I actually like that because I might use it in the future for people that have slower performing phones. I might just use that as an option. At that point, I'll detect and be like, I'm not even gonna. I'll just give you an image. So now I've got that wedge in now, as I call it. Nothing else to change there. That was pretty simple. Just focus. Just have to check session loaded. Has it loaded? Okay, let's check for a wallpaper. That was those. So we're down to the last 2 days of changes here. I guess I must have done the file switch file watcher in the last couple days. So here's the start of it. Actually, I wonder if we can skip it and just do it last. Probably not. Let's just do things in order, especially if we're going to be running patches. So unfortunately, it looks like I changed the DOS CI here. Right, it's not going to allow that probably. Because well, maybe it will, maybe it will. Let's see if I get lucky here with this patch file. The problem is I've changed the DOS file a few other ways, so I don't know if it's going to accept this patch. We're at that point in the patching of the evening where patchings don't work anymore. Because I've diverged too much from what I thought was correct earlier in the day. Okay, so that patch didn't apply. For several reasons, mostly the V86 ones. You know what we're going to do? We're going to go into the patch here. Like so. I'm going to open the patch and I'm going to not include those changes. And we'll just manually do those changes. But otherwise, I want to use the patch because a lot changed here. There's that one and then there's the V86 one. And up to right here, I think. There we go. Let's try the patch again. Nice, now it worked. So everything changed except those two files now. Let's look through the changes, and then we'll figure out what we need to apply to those other two files. So this is about the file system watching, first of all. So I showed you at the start of the episode, the desktop is the main folder. This is like /desktop here. Let's clear all this. So this here is like the desktop, and if you open up here, this is also the desktop here. Now I've applied the code, so it might already work, and we can show you how it should work. Watch. So I'll take this and I'm going to drag it here. There we go. So it updated there and it updated here. That wasn't happening before. So that's pretty important that it knows in both cases. And it's the same here for two. Like if you remember the saves folder, actually, I think that's part of what we don't have yet. So for V86 and for JS-DOS, after they make their writes, I need them to trigger a function to say, make sure to update the file system. And then at that point, we'll see here that the saves folder would update. But there's an example of it working now. Let's figure out how we made it work. Let's take a peek. So here's what I was saying too, how it's in the session. I think we could probably just move it now, but that might mess with the patch. So let's not do that. So it's in session context right now. But it's so modular that it doesn't need to be. I put it there and I'm going to move it to file system context very shortly. But ignore that fact because, like I say, it's so modular. It's not connected to the session in any way. And it won't even be connected to the file system in many ways either. How does it work? It's simple enough. It's just an object with the string, the key being the path, and an array of the update files functions. The idea there is whenever you run the use folder hook, you get this function called update files. And when you run that, it was updating the files. And I have all these functions for each folder when it opens, but I was passing them along, like pass it to the file entry, pass it to this. And instead what I'm going to do is take that update the files function and put it in an array associated with that directory. So for let's say the desktop directory, there could be, if there's four, like there's the desktop, there's a folder of the desktop, let's say there's another folder of the desktop, that would mean that there'd be 3 update functions in that array. And it just has to run that function over and over again and pass the same parameters. So that was the idea. Let's take a look at it here. This is the session context. I made a type called update files. It's basically just the function. The function changed slightly too. Before, it would just be a passing append file, but I figured out how to turn that function into like 3 different functions basically, and I'll explain how. But by having this new file and old file, and they're both optional, I can kind of handle the move, the renames, the new files, that kind of thing. I'll show you how. The state is just an object, and then it's based on these 3 functions: adding the watcher, removing the watcher, and updating the folder. Adding the watcher, you just say which folder, and you give it that update files function, and it'll just put it in, add it to the folder with the whatever else there happens to be. Remove, it does the opposite, that folder, it'll filter out your update function. And luckily, we're able to compare functions. So when I remove it, I pass the same function, and you can get function equality. So you can say, does this function equal exactly this function? And if they're the same function, basically, that does work. So I am able to filter that way. Because if you didn't remove it, when you close the folder and it tries to trigger again, it would try to run a update state on a closed component, and then it would say, React would be like, hey, you got a memory leak. So that's add and remove. As far as update, it's pretty much like what I explained. Ignore this piece for a moment. Basically, it goes in the path and runs update files for each of those update files functions, like I said. This thing here with this relevant path is when I realized you might not want to just update that folder, but you might also want to update its parent or its children. So let's say I have a parent folder and I delete it, and I had the child folder open. With this idea, it should refresh and show the folder is empty because it doesn't exist anymore, which is kind of how Windows works. Actually, I think Windows might default it back to like the desktop or the user's directory. I don't remember. And then as far as the parent, so let's say I'm in the root directory and and the saves folder gets created. I want the root path to also get an update so that I see, oh, there's a saves folder now. Not just seeing the things in the save folder update, but also seeing the folder itself get added. So that's what these relevant paths are. Basically, the folder itself, its parent, and any children folders. It's going to loop through those, and if it finds any of those folders have open watchers, it's going to run their update file functions. So this is a way for me to basically centralize the updating of the file system. As far as the types, I added that update file one, and I also had to export these 3 functions that we've just discussed: the add, remove, and the update. This is the file system context. What did I add here? Right, so here currently I'm doing update folder within the file system context. In a commit or 2, I realized, hey, I should probably just move the watcher in here. But here's the basics of how it works. So you see here, let's say for mount FS, before I was passing that update file function and then running it here. But you don't even know what it is, callback, it's a little generic. Now it's very clear. Once you mount the FS, I just want you to update the folder for that URL, basically. And what is the point of that? Yeah, what is the point of that? Is it, maybe it's, why would I want to even do that here in this case? I think the thing is, when you open the folder, it will show empty, and then it updates here, but you need to trigger this to say, hey, go check again for the files. Right, that's the key. But rather than it being this generic callback, now it's very obvious. Okay, yeah, you want to update the folder now that it's mounted, the drive. Okay, yeah. That's that piece. Basically, now that we have this file system watcher, we removed all the places where we were manually running update files, and instead we do that update folder that runs the update files commands, functions. Here was another example on refresh. Now instead of an update files, we don't pass update files anymore, but we do pass the URL because we need to say update the URL for that folder. So we take update folder, currently from session, but file system in the future. We won't get to use folder just yet. Let's skip to draggable entries and see if it's the same story. Yeah, so I was passing in the update files function. Now I just pass a URL. I get update folder from the session, and I do that. instead of just an empty update files, I say update folder and I specify the folder. And because I'm now getting URL, I renamed this other URL to be entry URL to be a little more clear. Otherwise, this didn't change at all. And this is the file manager. Right, so now the use folder no longer exports update files. It doesn't need it anymore. So we didn't need update files in these places now because inside we're able to get one level deeper through the use session, through the session context, sorry. So this was just me removing the references to update files being passed into the draggable entry. It was passed into mounting, and it was being passed into the folder context. Not needed anymore. Finally, the use folder hook. This is where it was exporting that update files command. Doesn't need to anymore. We'll ignore the change for a second here and just go to the starter piece. So here I've added a new effect that when the folder is first triggered and loaded, that it adds that watcher. So adds the FS watcher of the directory with update files, and then whenever it needs to destroy, it removes the watcher. And then here within there, we just kind of I changed it whenever it was doing update files. Typically, it needs to do update folder, because now instead of just focusing on updating its folder, I want it to update any associated folder that has the same directory. But that's all that this change was. That's all that this changes as well. Instead of update files, it's now specifying here that it's actually a move. I'm trying to remember the syntax here. Yeah, because then it's not a new file. It was an old file. It's a removal, actually. This removes that entry. This here, we don't need to run set files anymore now. Right, this set file command here was for a rename. So instead what I've done for renames is you pass in the new and the old to the update folder, and then it knows, okay, you want me to go into set files, find this file, and then change its name, and not just refresh everything. That was the same scenario here, I think. Although I'm not sure. If this is blank, I think that's a different piece. It's not so clear, unfortunately, as it was earlier to me. Here I kind of generalized the delete command a little bit. Before it was like, if it's a directory, run rmdir, otherwise unlink. But it passed the exact same stuff. So what I decided to do was just make a function called fsdelete, where if it's a directory, then the function is the rmdir function, otherwise it's unlink. And then I just run this once instead of doing it twice. So fsdelete the path, and then you pass, and again, it's the update folder. Right, so this is the deletion syntax. When there's no new and there is an old, I'm saying delete it. So that's what I've generalized it here. We don't need set files there. We don't need set files here either. This was the delete syntax. So I basically moved all these set file instances into one place, into the update files thing. So if there's an old and there's a new, then treat it like a rename and do the rename logic where you map each one, and when you find the relevant one, you change its name. If there's an old file, but there's no new file, then it's a deletion, and you want to filter it out. You want to find it and remove it. If there's a new file, but no old file, then you want to append it as the new file. And if there's no new file or old file, then you just want to do a complete refresh of everything and do the typical sorting and filtering system files. So it didn't change too much, but I managed with those two parameters to kind of do some of the logic for how it could be. And otherwise, that's good. So now let's take a peek at what we didn't get from those two files. Right, pretty simple. So basically, I just added update folder of the save path for both of those. I think it's the same for V86 too. Yeah, it's exactly the same. Let's just do those two. So within the apps, within JS-DOS, the DOS CI, here's where we save it, and here's where it's done saving. So we stop the DOS instance, and then we update the folder path. And now we have to get update folder from the session, which we don't have. So we need to import that. That should be enough to do everything else. Nope, not quite. Save path needs to be this save path. Oh, and then now that needs something else. I like to just have the auto thing properly give me whatever was missing there. There we go. That's one of them. That was the JS-DOS one. And now we'll do the V86 one. Pretty much the exact same change. We have to take in the session until we move it to file system very shortly. And same kind of place. Here it's a destroy instead of instant stop. Save path, just the same. Clear these out and then re-import it. And there we go. So we'll take a peek at what I did there. Not too much. It gets session, use session, run update folder. Get, use, run. And we've already gone through all the rest. So let's take a quick test of that too, just to show you what that did. So in this case here, we don't have a saves folder yet. Let's do a complete refresh here, start fresh. So as you'll see, there's no saves folder yet. But if we open up Doom, and then we pretty much just have to close it, and it'll auto-save. So we close it, and now if you watch here, there we go. So it popped up the saves folder, and there it was there. And same thing now, if we were to open up the Calibri one, and let it go, and now if we, let's say, close it here, there's the bin file. So there's the two save files, and it automatically updated them. And we still have, and let's say we have desktop open here, and I take this and I drag it to the desktop here. It completely is gone and broken. Ta-da! What happened? Why didn't that work? Well, it's always good to find bugs when you're just trying to demo something. Let's try it again, but it shouldn't need to work again. Wait, let me open that folder too. Okay, so that's a problem. Well, good. I mean, what happened? Darn it. What if I don't have the second desktop open? Let me put these things back here. That goes there. Oh, wow. Now that's not even working? So I made it worse. Oh, okay. I made it worse. Okay. Let's just finish the commits because we have a few more. That was like, it was like 2% working earlier. I don't know what happened that made it worse. Let's just quickly overview it here. Actually, let's not. We looked through all these changes. They look legitimate. I want to commit them and then move on to some of the other commits that we had for this exact same thing. Like moving it from session to file system. I want to do a few more movements before I try to debug it because I know there's a few more changes I do along the way. File system watching for active updating. In theory, except that it didn't freaking work completely. Let's make a note of the next stream in case we don't get it fixed. Dragging to desktop from saves didn't work? Question mark? Okay. Oh, and I gotta paste that. I just did that change. Let's just take a look at some of these other changes to follow up on that. Okay, so that one's in the bag. Yeah, we got another bunch here, some of them that involve FS. So let's just see if we fix it, and we're gonna get back to that test because I got it noted. This was an interesting one. Prevent scroll on focus. I mean, unfortunately, my drag and drop's not working, but let's see if we can try to demo this. So we open the File Explorer. Now watch. If I drag the shortcut and I drop it here, you see? So it focused to where it was dragged, and now you see it totally messed up my top bar there. I'm eventually going to have scroll bars here, and that never will happen. But I also don't... This shouldn't be able to happen. It's something I didn't realize was even a thing, but it turns out that the dot focus on elements has this attribute where it will scroll to wherever you told it to focus. And I think I actually knew that, but I didn't expect that it would do that the way that I have the page set up. So I think that caught me off guard a bit. Let's apply the commit where I fix it, and then I'll just show you how I... Oops, what happened there? There it is. Oh no, because of the constants? Come on. All right, let's patch another patch to have it not care about constants. I don't care. Some constant change. Let's see what changed too. Oops. All right, the prevent scroll constant. Okay, that is somewhat important. We'll definitely have to get to that. Where the heck is the legitimate change though? Constants.ts. Oh, here it is. Here it is. think it was the last one. Okay, cool. Let's just nuke that and then see if the patch works. There we go. Patch works now. So let's go look at the code for that constant. Because I've changed too many things now. At some point I changed the constants and now the patch just can't handle even the most minor change, it seems. It will go here. So that the only missing one was this prevent scroll. So that's the idea here, is that this option called prevent scroll true, that's something that you can pass to .focus. And if you look here now, I've got wherever I'm doing .focus now, I've done prevent scroll. And that was the easiest solution I found, was just kind of peppering prevent scroll around wherever it need be, wherever I'm doing focus. Because yeah, I never want the focus to do any scrolling, basically. Maybe in the future I will, depending on what I mean by scrolling in the future. Let's try it again. So we open File Explorer now, and when we drop, there we go. You see it didn't do anything fancy, but it is there. Nice. Yeah, I don't want that stealing my scroll. That's not cool. Prevent scroll and focus. Commit another one down the line. So I want to try to get to these file watcher fixes to try to figure out what happened if I didn't just find another bug. Where were we on this? Fixed test error. Could it be related to that? Who knows? Probably not, but this is legitimate. Yeah. So for use folder, there is a scenario where that might not exist. I think it's in testing specifically that happens. I don't think it's going to be related to anything else. But here, this might not exist at the start. I'm just going to make these optional chained. So if it's null, then don't run it. And we can just test if the test works now. I mean, presumably it wasn't working before because I made this fixed test error. Yeah, test works now. So let's just say optional chain FS watcher for tests. That's a little bit more descriptive than fixed test. Use text areas, still need auto resizing. What the heck? Oh, okay. We'll get to this in a second. I want to wait on that one. I want to figure out these these other file system watcher ones, but we'll come back to this. I'll leave this open. Oops, I didn't mean to click it though. Move FS watchers to FS context. Okay. Let's just, oh man, there's so little chance that this patch is going to work, but it would probably save me a few minutes. So let's just see how much of it works. Because it's the basic idea of what I was saying before of just moving that context. Moving it from the session to the file system, because that just, to me, that makes more sense. Okay, so it's again the DOS CI stuff that didn't work, and the V86. That's okay. That's what I get for improvising it. Let's just remove that from the diff for now and apply the diff. And then we'll fix those two in a minute. So what changed? So in the session context, I basically just removed the entire thing that we talked about, and I've moved it into the file system here easily enough. And now I didn't need the session piece anymore because now the functions are right here for me to access. Otherwise, pretty much nothing had to change. I removed the types from here and put them here, which is in part of the file. Instead of use session, we do use file system now. Same here. I didn't, yeah, we just did, again, use file system, use session, just switch which function is coming from which. And same there. And we just got to do it in those two other places that didn't work on our patch, which is the DOS CI will now be the file system. Oh, and we already had the file system here, actually. So we'll just do that. And that's one less import. And the same thing here. And it's already in the file system. Nice. So that was actually even a little shorter, those two files. Got rid of use session and just get the function right from the file system. So that's, I'm much more comfortable with it being there, even though it seems like it's not completely working. Move FS watchers. At any point, do I fix the watcher? That's what I want to know. Did this, did that. What's this one here? Use JS instead of CSS for file rename. That's another one I want to get to. Lighter peak canvas, possibly. What's that mean? Oh, right. This was just an interesting command I saw that could be cool. So for the get context 2D, when I'm making the the peak window, there's things you can pass here: alpha, false, and desynchronized true. If it's basically both of those make the canvas a little bit faster by telling it like, I don't need transparency and I don't want to be linked to the DOM, the user, anything like that. I'm using this canvas for my own purposes. So it's keep it desynchronized from things that you think I probably want synchronized. Now, in practice, does it make a difference? I don't know. I don't have a benchmark for it, but everything tells me that being explicit in that thing is better. Including the Mozilla article also kind of said something about it. So we did that change. Looks like I never did figure out this FS Watcher thing. Let's try to test it again in a second. Here was another minor change involving the sidebar here. Just when you hover, I think that was a little too fast. I wanted to tweak the timing to be this actually. A little faster on the delay, or on the duration of the transition, but a little slower on the starting of it. The delay. Delay versus transition, I guess. It was right here, I think. What's this one? Sidebar buttons. Okay, the buttons themselves have... I guess the buttons should have the same matching numbers. I didn't realize I didn't keep these synced, but they probably should be. So let's put them as the same numbers in both cases, from 400s to a 300 and a 700. Pretty much, it's not imperceptible, but it's minor. So if we open it here and now see, yeah, it really doesn't make much difference to the average user. But as someone who, like me, that is playing around with that menu sometimes, I've noticed enough that mine felt a little bit faster. Adjusted sidebar timing. Yeah, sidebar. Yeah, timing's fine. Oh, what happened here? Is it mad at the imports now? Huh, what's going on here? My imports are fighting each other now. That's weird, but when I... Oh, this is a wrong import. How many more of those do I have? I shouldn't have many, if any. That was the only one, yeah. This is just wrong. So let us fix that. Styled... Oh, it's right here. It's just literally in the same path. But we have to be explicit with our paths in my code. In my house, we obey the laws of thermodynamics. All right. That's the path. There we go. Now it'll be... Well, I was going to say now it'd be fine, but it doesn't seem too happy with that, actually. Oh, the TS part. There we go. Okay, so the real change is not much of a change. Oh, so this was wrong already. Interesting. Maybe that was wrong for a while from a previous bad import. Adjusted sidebar timing. Great. Let's try yarn test and yarn build. And let's kill this instance that was already running. Because I'm wondering if it's broken again. Okay, so wait, did we? Yeah, we just did this. I just committed that. So the only two things left, other than the fact that well, there's actually a few things left. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's make a note that the FS is acting weird. Because I don't know if I did. Did I? I think I did, actually. Yeah, let's test it again then, because it's acting weird. Otherwise, we had these two. Are these two big changes? These are pretty minor changes. I want to discuss them. Yeah, we need to discuss those two changes. Let's just see how the build goes. Let's test this a little bit more. Selection over File Explorer stops selection. All right, that's a bug. This is a dependency, I guess. Or that's just an index. Selecting two. Oh yeah, that was a bug too. Focusing Winamp. That is a feature. And then dragging to desktop from saves didn't work is also a bug. So building still works. That's good. Get the yarn dev environment back up here. And I'm going to completely clear it. And then we're going to test again as to why it didn't work. It's just loading up here. I'm going to have a little water in the interim. Oh, nice, delicious water. Okay, I think it's loading about as slow as possible. There we go. Clear this. So let's see what does work, because some of my tests were working, oddly enough. So if I take the favicon, I drag it there, that worked. It updated here, it updated here. Take a skin, drag it here. That didn't work. What happened? Jeez, it fails quick. So the first one worked, interestingly. Let's see if that exact same thing works on first go with the skin this time. Skin, drag. Oh, even the first one didn't work now. How could I have been so wrong with my testing? What went wrong? Well, rest assured I'll fix this for next stream, as I usually fix these bugs, but why do I keep causing them? So that works, but dragging, okay, interesting. This part's just working now. But if I take a skin from another folder, that doesn't work. If I take a ROM, it's like subfolder stuff's not working. They're clearly here, but this didn't update. Well, that's really the issue, actually. Yeah, that's the issue. The drag removed it too, so this updated, but this didn't. Why? I want to debug this one now. I want to understand. So I moved it on. What would have changed? Let's do it together here. So the drag and drop, or it's called file drop. Yeah, use file drop, and that based on handle file event. And the handle file event calls this callback. And what was the callback again? It was new path. Okay, so let's go back to new path then. This is counting as a new path. This might have been something I broke earlier, actually. I seem to remember something like this. Oh, right. That might have been this. Because this actually isn't the same intention as the original one had. The original one just ran it empty, like that. And maybe that is what I should have been doing from the start. I mean, let's refresh this here and test. Okay. So now we open this. We open skins and we drag. No. Okay. Well, good and bad. I mean, something I added wasn't necessarily wrong, but let's console log a new path here and try to see then what's going on. The name is pretty much all I care about. So I actually did keep the rename idea being here. That's okay. Fine with that. I just didn't really realize that was the case. Let's refresh this again and try one more time. So we take this, let's just do a song music one. Boom. Music/demo. Okay. But what about the thing that it got dragged onto? Interesting. So directory, base name. What was the update files command that occurred? Let's check that out. New file and old file. Looks like this bug may have existed before, I guess. I must have just caused this at some point and not realized it. But it's interesting. It's another point. At other points I tested this. Oh, okay. That shouldn't be empty, I don't think. That doesn't seem right. Oh, no. Maybe that is. Maybe that's fine. But the fact that I moved it to the desktop should, in theory, have triggered another update. Old file. New file. That would have updated the skins folder as it did. Yeah, it's just hard to wonder. I must have been, What a mystery. Were there any other commits that I didn't go back to? Not really. So when we do a drag like that on the file drop, handle file input, it goes down here to this to get the text. And what this does is create it. Doesn't it? Yeah, it's tricky because this is that internal drag and drop stuff. I feel like some of it works. Some of it works. Like watch, when I take the desktop icon and put it here, oh, now that's not working either. But the root path worked. Is it related to root? See, root updates. That doesn't, oh yeah, that was the root. And this is the desktop. Yeah, there's something a little wonky. I don't want to spend much more time on it. I'm just trying to think. When you drop it, it has to do a write event, or is it doing a move event? It happens here. It's the new path, which is part of this. But how would I know where to write it to then? I wonder which scenario is occurring. Is this scenario that occurs? Maybe. Let's see. No, it's not renaming. Huh. Because if it's a new path command, write file here. But write file is not the same as move. And this is make directory. Yeah, I've forgotten how to do that one. So internal drag and drop is broken, except for root. Let's just make a note of that. Internal drag and drop is broken on non-root paths. Okay. So we'll do that one another time. Let's do this update the index really quick, because that's an easy one. So that's as simple as doing yarn build fs. Okay, there we go. Updated file indexes. Wait, what? It says I have something unsaved. But what? Oh, okay, yeah, that was just experimentation. Failed experimentation. There we go. So we updated the file system indexes. That's done. These bugs, is that other bug still happening? The two icons causing this thing to freak out? Yep, that's still happening too. Wow, it really doesn't like that. Let's just unselect that. That was another buggy one. Oh, the dev environment's not even running anymore since I did that build. Okay, well, good that we found some bugs, I guess, in theory. I enjoy fixing bugs. I mean, as you can see here, I've fixed all those. I still need to fix a bunch of stuff there. Some of that's features, but more bugs than features nowadays. Let's go to the last two things here. So we've done everything here minus these two things. Let's do these two things. First one I wanted to do is to fix a simple enough issue. If we zoom in far enough, you might be able to see it. So you see here the P, at the bottom of the P, how the shadow doesn't go over the secondary border. Now the reason for this is CSS and involving overflow hidden, but the reasoning behind needing overflow hidden was because I was using line clamp. And line clamp is a way to have, let's say you have text that's going to go over 3, 4, 5 lines. I want, whenever I'm not selecting that item specifically, for it to show a truncated line clamped version where it's like first line, second line, ... And line clamp is kind of handy for that. But the fact that you have to mess with this overflow hidden, and if you have text shadows, it becomes a little bit difficult. So the solution that I've come up with is kind of dicey. And it's going to need some work, and I might end up... I don't know if I'll end up reverting it, because in some ways I do like the solution, but I might end up not using it in the long term. I'm not sure yet on that. But without further ado, let us see the change, which is this commit here that applied okay. The basics of it is that I'm now doing truncation in JavaScript. And now instead of checking the entries, wait, show full name. I thought I got rid of that idea. When does it show full name? Okay, yeah, that's fair. So the only time I want to, or no, so yeah, the only time I'd ever want to show the full name is if only one entry is focused, and that entry is this entry. In that case, we show the full name. Otherwise, in all other scenarios, we want to truncate. That was similar to what was going on here, basically. And then all the truncate's doing right now, I've set this predetermined max length. It's not completely logical. And if the full name, and we use the full name, if the length is less than or equal to max length. Otherwise, we basically just take the name by the max length and then do ... Now, this is not an ideal solution, but one thing it has done for the moment is fix that text shadow being cut off, which is kind of the main thing I cared about at the moment. So now if you see here, that P goes all the way to the bottom. over the border a little bit, but just the littlest bit, almost like a half a pixel over. So, oh wait, is that true? Yeah, because I also applied the part of the patch that got rid of all this stuff. So we got rid of overflow hidden, we got rid of the line clamp, and we also got rid of the changing of the line clamp based on this truncate class, which no longer needs to exist anymore. Which is why we got rid of the need for a class at all now, because we're handling it in JavaScript. And if the length is shorter than 15 characters, it looks pretty okay. But the problem comes in when you're talking about getting it exactly to look like the Windows one and getting the truncation to work right, where, oh, is there a space? Is it the space in the second word? Then you cut off these 3 characters and you go ... That logic is not as easy as I originally thought it would be. So this is a very basic version, and we're going to build on it later. Use JS instead of CSS for file name truncation. Nice and clear one there. And then another temporary adjustment to the same area, the file entries, is using text area instead of using an input box for doing rename. And the reason for that, if we go look at a rename here, let's say this one here, and I press rename, you see there that the explore, the ER part is cut off. Let's do another one. Let's just say a file is called hello, my name is. Okay, so that's it right there. It looks okay with the truncation. You see when I click it, untruncates, truncate, cool. But so if I do rename, it's completely cut off. And it's not, and there's no secondary lines. So the input is just a one-liner versus text area, which can be multi-line. So for that reason alone, I wanted to go to text area. But moving to text area has its own little battles that we'll take a peek at here. Let's just go to apply the patch and see what we got. So instead of an input area, it's a text area. That was all for that piece. I've switched from styled input to a styled text area. I've also noticed that there was this thing called autocomplete as a setting, so I've turned that off just to tell the browser, like, don't try to autocomplete this, don't do anything to it. For now, we've hard-coded one row, which is not what I want long-term. That gets into this truncation stuff and calculating how to make it look the way I want it to look, and I haven't thought of the full solution yet, but these are steps towards that. So the text area can be resizable. We want to disable that. We've increased the width slightly. And then I've also just changed this type to check for an instance of a text area instead of instance of an HTML. Very, very minor change. So now if we do right click and we press rename, you see it looks a little bit better. Not much, but at least the text is in the center, which is more like how it is in Windows. And if you get rid of those scroll bars, if you shrink it by 1 or 2 pixels, and actually if you shrink it by a lot to the length of one letter, and then as the user types, it gets bigger up into a certain point, and then after that, it starts to truncate down. That's what I want with Windows. And I think it is going to be a combination of this text area plus JavaScript if I want to get the closest to how it looks in Windows. So that's kind of what I'm settling on with these latest adjustments that I've done. And there'll probably be more of them to come. But I don't think for this episode, because I don't have any other ideas. Use text area still needs auto resizing. I'll just say use text area instead of input for rename element. And we'll build on it in the future. Okay, great. So we found some bugs today that I'll have to solve for next week. The internal drag and drop not working on subdirectories. The selection, what was the selection one again? Just to refresh my memory. All right, so if the window's open and I'm selecting and that part works fine, but if the mouse goes into the window, yeah, then it goes away. I don't like that. Selecting with mouse over File Explorer stops selection. Yeah. Selecting. And then selecting 2 items in File Explorer causes error loop, let's say. Okay. So we did a lot, it feels like. I'm going to commit I'm going to push these 18 more commits. So it looks like we did about 38 commits this episode. Hopefully you guys liked my new patch format. I just want to double check if I got everything. It looks like I got all those commits, so that was a lot. So we're at 2 hours, 40-ish minutes. We've done about 38 commits. We got some new features. We got the auto saving for V86 for JS-DOS. We got the file system watching that doesn't completely work, but at one point it did. It'll work again one day. Just give me some time. We got the resetting via the power button now. We got the peak going to the right sides. So thanks for tuning in with me for this episode. If you guys liked it, please throw me a like. Throw a like on the video. Throw a like on all my videos if you want. I mean, check them out and like them first. If you don't like them, then don't give them a like. Fair enough. If you like me, you like my project, you want to support me, you want to motivate me, throw me a subscribe. It keeps you updated on what's going on with me, and like I say, it motivates me. So I think that's it for today. Thanks for tuning in for the 33rd week, and see you guys in week 34 next week.